Okay, y'all, here we are. Here we go. Back again. Let's go ahead and get into this show here. I really, really want to do like maybe an hour and a half at most. So I won't, be messing around this time for no damn 3 hours because I'm hungry too. But I want to go ahead and squeeze this in. So let's get on it, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to another live stream. Got another fight weekend coming up. Got some good fights. Couple good fights, must wins. Let's see what's going on. AM, OG Power, Marcus, 2B, Straya, what's going on? Yeah, man. So, like I said, I just want to run through these fights. I'm going to do a little open link today, if anybody wants to get on here. And we just talk about what happened this past weekend and just the thoughts in general on these fights that are coming up. So, yeah, UFC Fight Night. We got 2 flyweight fights coming up, right? Got 2 flyweight fights for March 12th, both on the prelims. Don't have any on the main card. No WMMA on the main card. Let's see. We got JJ Aldridge taking on Julian Robertson. Now, this fight here, originally it was supposed to be JJ and Ariane Lipsky, and I was looking forward to that fight. I already had the taste in my mouth for that fight because I knew it was going to be like a good stand-up match, power versus that, technique. But we ain't getting that match. Now we getting a style contrast. We getting, particularly a striker. Aldridge got a few different tools, but we got a striker versus grappler match here, and Aldridge versus Julian Robertson, and not much so like Mazo and Maverick. It is a must win if you want to be taken seriously in this division, in my opinion. Mark Robertson, what's going on, man? It is definitely a situation where you have to win. You have to look good and you have to make a statement if you want to get into that top 15, in my opinion, or these two as well. Because Jillian Roberts, let's be real, she's been here time and time again. She may hold that record as having some of the most wins in the game under Caitlin and Valentina, but she's still unranked, right? She got a lot of wins, yeah, but she got some of the most wins, but she got to get it done, man. She got to get it. She got to get this statement maker because you want to get back into that realm with the Andrea Lees and everybody. Got to get this win. Jennifer Maya, Jessica I, all of these fighters like that. You want to get that position. Got to go in there and make a statement. And I think she knows that. I think also JJ Aldridge knows that she needs a win too, because a lot of people think JJ Aldridge doesn't rise to the occasion, which that I can agree on. There's some pullback, there's some kind of resistance there with JJ Aldridge at times. JJ, I think, is a very, very good technical fighter. I like her. Like I told you, I'm a fan of her style, kind of like a technical JoJo. But I don't think she levels up enough in a fight. I don't think she breaks. I think that's kind of been a thing. Everybody thinks that she can wither or break under pressure, but I don't think she does. I mean, her resume doesn't really show that to me. It just shows a fighter at times that doesn't level up. They stay in the middle. Like I think she stays in the middle more than she does than she does either crumble or rise. Like if you look at her resume, come on, Macy Barber, she was winning that fight, but she got hurt. She got stopped. Macy got the equalizer. Sabina Mazo, again, that was a close fight. She won it, but there should have been times where, she should have been closing in and, making it rough and taking it to the ground. Courtney Casey, I think JJ is a better striker, but she almost let Courtney beat her in that fight. So I think JJ is in the middle right now, and she's got to rise in this fight because Jillian has killer instinct. Like Jillian, I do agree that she has more so of a killer instinct, and she's got to go after. She's got to be prepared for everything Jillian's doing because Jillian's going to go after her. Like Jillian Robertson may come up short at times, but you really have to have something to balance out and beat her. You do have to have some type of good qualities to beat her. Like all the fighters that beat her had some pretty solid qualities, especially their jiu-jitsu was on point. Their ground game was on point. Their strength was on point. Like Jillian is not, at least Jillian's a 10-6. She's about 10-6, but she finished a lot of fighters. She finished a lot of lower level fighters, but the ones that stand out that beat her, like Silva, she had a good ground game, was able to submit her. But fighters like Santos, Maverick, they were strong. They were strong. They had a little bit more. And I don't know if JJ Aldridge has that. That's why I'm saying we got to see if she has that in this fight, like to counter her jiu-jitsu with her own and be able to slip out of submission attempts. Because Jillian is going to go for arm bars and she's going to snake around and get your neck. Let's be real, right? Or she's going to try to ground and pound you. When it goes to the ground, it's her fight. So I think JJ, by all means, you got to keep it standing. You got to keep this fight standing all day long. Jillian, she has some nice movement on her feet, but it's the hands. Like she can move. Like I think she's pretty flexible. She's pretty athletic, but it's just her commitment. It's her commitment to, those shots, commitment to, extend shots, make them hurt, make them count. That seems to be a problem for her. I don't know why either, man. Like she's young. She can move. Like she moves on the ground. Like why is she so stiff? Like why? Not she ain't even stiff. Like, but why is she just so resistant? Why does she resist committing to striking? I don't know, man. Some fighters just don't want to do it. Some fighters just don't want it. Straya said Jillian gets it done. Marcus said Jillian has a lot of wins at the low tier. Yeah, like that's why her record, she holds that record up there with Caitlin and Valentina because, she beat a lot of low tier fighters. But this one here, I'm telling y'all, this got to be her stepping stone to get out the box, man. BJ, what's up? He said it's easy. It's not her. It's easy. It's not her style. It ain't got to be a style, BJ. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be a part of your game though. Like it can't be your style. Like some people say, they don't like to eat vegetables, right? But if you want to survive and you want to live in the game, in this life, you got to eat some greens, okay? That's all I'm saying. Like a parent to a child, I'm telling y'all, got to eat your greens, right? Whether it be spinach or asparagus, whatever, right? You got to eat it. You might say, I don't like it. That ain't my style. I like to eat candy all day because that's what feels good. I like to taste candy. I love the taste of it. Well, okay. You want your teeth rotten? You want your kidneys messed up? That's what I'm saying. Like you might not like it, but it's gonna help you out in the long run. Like I'm not saying you got to change your whole style up, but you might want to have a couple of extra tools in there. Yeah, Jillian is a true specialist, with what she does, right? She's a specialist, but like I said, it could either be specialist or it could be stubbornness. Like, are you really a specialist or are you just too comfortable that you don't want to step out the box? I'm guilty of things like that, not stepping out of the box and trying certain things. But then again, I'm like, why do it? But I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want to push forward, then it ain't gonna happen. But in my opinion, I want to break those chains. Like Jillian, I think she needs to break a couple of chains here. Like I really hope we see some type of striking in this fight. As much as I think she'll want to go to the ground, I got to see something in this fight to try to stop this striker. Because a striker like what is her name? I forget right now. But anyways, Jillian Robertson to me needs a couple of extra. She needs a couple of extras. Why? The record speaks for itself. The ranking speaks for itself, right? Yeah. I mean, all day long, like I said, I give her credit. She'll get you down, put the Street Fighter moves on you. She ground and pounds you. She'll submit you. But the minute you step out of the box, like, okay, Miranda, Taylor, they might not be full on jujitsu, practitioners, like specialists when they get in there, but you see what happens, right? When you don't adjust and switch it up, you'll fall behind. That's all I'm saying. Right? BJ said it's a risky style, but if anyone can pull it off, Julian can. Mark Robinson says, I got a challenge question for you related to Jillian. What WMMA UFC fighter has made the most drastic improvement with their striking? Who's done what Jillian needs to do? Who's made the most drastic improvement with their striking? On a lower level, I think Casey O'Neill has. On a lower level, I think Casey O'Neill's made some improvement. Like, I think Casey O'Neill has made more improvement than even more so than Mackenzie Dern. Like, Mackenzie Dern is at least trying. I give her that. But if I had to say, like, improvement on the lower level, I think Casey's striking has advanced more than Jillian, even though Jillian's been in the UFC more. Casey O'Neill striking looks better, if that's who you're talking about. But overall, when we talking about like the strikers in the strawweight division, they're all pretty much top notch when it comes down to styles. But like flyweight wise, improvements, I think Casey's made more improvements up to her fourth fight in the UFC. Yeah. Yeah. Ulysses said GB will never touch the gold if she doesn't commit to evolve. AM said, what are Maya and O'Neal specialists in? Jennifer Maya, yeah. Oh, you meant Damian Maya. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. He meant Damian Maya because I was gonna say, yeah, like, yeah. When I look back at Damian Maya, I was like, yeah, he's more of a specialist. He's kind of one dimensional. Like, is it? That's another question. If I got an open link, I got an open link coming. I got a question for y'all. Like, is specialist just another name for one dimensional though? Like, is there a difference? I mean, I can kind of see a difference in there, but think about that. Is that just another cute word for one dimensional? Is being a specialist just a cute word for one dimensional? Yeah, I thought he meant Jennifer Meyer too. Robot Chicken said, if Maverick loses this Saturday, I'll be shocked. Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. Somebody take care of that bot. Let's see if y'all on it. Somebody remove that bot. Remove the bot and make sure y'all hit the like button. Remove that bot, man. Somebody get rid of that. Somebody get rid of that. Thank you. Thank you, Robot Chicken. You be on it. That's why you got a wrench. JJ Aldridge. Let's look at her for a minute. JJ Aldridge, the thing that could cost her in this fight, I think, could be the fact that not one thing she does is really, really elite yet. You know what I mean? Like, well, if anything, her technical striking is, taekwondo comes from that background, kickboxing. I think that's very solid in her. But as far as some of her offensive attempts, you know, that could cost her in this fight because Jillian could get it down. Um, Her wrestling is okay. It's good. She handled a Demopoulos. Demopoulos is a pretty good grappler, but she's small. She's pretty small. So JJ does have a lot of well-rounded things going into this fight, but I still see openings in there where if she doesn't know what to actually pull out and adjust to, and what she doesn't know, what she should know what to adjust to is the Jillian. But if she doesn't know what to use in this fight, it could cost her. Like if she doesn't strike on the move and counter well and doesn't throw the right kicks, if she throws body kicks, she might get taken down here. If Jillian's striking is improved, like BJ said, there could be some issues in this fight. I think to fight Jillian, you really have to be. You can't be stationary. You can't be flat-footed, in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good. Like I said, it's going to be a good fight because of the contrast in styles. AM said he thinks it's another cute word for one-dimensional. Okay. Mark Robertson, I just realized I'm not sure if I can answer my own question. Not saying this is an answer, but Carla has come a long way over a period of time. She actually popped grass a few times. She did, yeah. It is a challenge of a question. I mean, you really have to reach. And if I had to pick, Mark, I would just say Casey. Like Casey's obvious. And even then, like it's not elite striking. It's just improvement. Aaron Blanchfield's another one. I think Aaron's one. Aaron's improved. Like if you see Aaron from 3-4 years ago to now, Aaron's striking has improved, Mark. If you go back and look at some of her fights, I think Aaron's improved. McKenzie is trying. Let me put it that way. I give McKenzie an A for effort, but I still don't see like the footwork coming together with her. Australia said it's a pity Jillian couldn't get her weight at 115 under control. She'd be better against smaller girls. Yeah, she might, man. She would probably break into that top if she could make that weight. I think she fits though at flyweight. I never really like get the vibe like she needs to move down though. All right. To be said, Khabib is definitely a specialist, not one-dimensional. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Straight Julian isn't as small as she looks. I think if Jillian just had better striking and better, well-roundedness, I think she could definitely make it though in the division. Because I think Jillian's kind of like, is Jillian kind of like the same size or Andrea Lee, or is Andrea Lee a bit bigger? Is she a little bit bigger? I don't know. But yeah, let's move to the next fight here because I'm gonna do this link in a minute here. Mazo and Maverick. Oh boy. Shout out to Miranda Maverick, for wanting to stay active, thinking that she's out the game or that she's not coming back. But some people want to counter out. But yeah, shout out to Miranda Maverick, man. She's taking this one on short notice. This is another fill-in fight, Jillian, shout out to Jillian. She's taking a close fight. Shout out to Jillian. She came in, replaced Lipsky. You got to give these girls credit. Shout out to Miranda for stepping in for Mandy Bone. She said, hey, let me get it like a week ago. When I saw that come out and I was like, uh-oh, I saw her behind the scenes. I was like, okay, she got this fight. And the thing is, though, you're 2-2, right? With Miranda being 2-2 right now, taking this on short notice, you got to show up. You got to prepare. You got to look good. You got to go in there and look good because, this is a must win. If anything, Robertson and Aldridge, I think they're fine in their position right now. win or lose. This is more of a must-win fight. This is a must-win fight here for both of these fighters. Why? All right. Mazo is on his back-to-back losing streak right now. Her last win was 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago against Justine Keesh. She lost to Agapova and Alexis Davis. Pretty dominant losses. They pretty much dominated her. Miranda, yeah, you know what? Miranda shouldn't be in that position because the Macy fight, I'm not sold on that as a loss. So if anything, on paper, yeah, she's on a back-to-back losing streak, but if anything, she's really 3-1. She's really 3-1. So I think Mazo is actually more in trouble of being cut than Maverick is. But she really does need this win to avoid being on a 3-fight losing streak. And then from there, you could be on that chopping block. So Maverick definitely needs this win just because on paper it would come up to 3 L's. Gotta look good though. She's taking this on short notice. With a dangerous fighter, even though she's losing, she's still a dangerous fighter. Mazo, she has the length in this fight. Maverick is like 5'3", like 5'3", 5'4". She's about 5'3", and she's dealing with fighter that's 4 inches taller. Reach is like a 70. She's long. She's dealing with a long fighter. 4.5-inch reach advantage and 4-inch height advantage here if it's used right. So right away, you're in there with both fighters have to be on their game because they should be dealing with dangerous versions of themselves. Like, Maverick should be on her game because Mazo's going to be dangerous because Mazo's on a 2-fight losing streak. Mazo don't even want 3 in a row. So Mazo going to be dangerous. She's going to be looking to finish in here. Maverick, she's dangerous to Mazo because, hey, same deal. On paper, it's 2 losses. She wants to take this fight on short notice to show that, look, she's active, she's ready to go, and she wants to bounce back in that winner's circle. So they gotta watch out in this fight. But to me, Maverick has a chance to capitalize and go in here, show off her ground game and her wrestling against a tall, long striker, Muay Thai fighter in Mazo. Mazo can be a slow starter, and that's where Maverick has to come on strong. Like, Maverick not a slow starter. I don't know where that got pushed. I mean, again, Maverick was the fastest starter against Macy Barber. That's why she won the first 2 rounds. If anything, she had let off the gas in the 3rd round, right? So Maverick is fine with her starting. She just couldn't really get it going against Aaron because Aaron started even quicker. It was just better on the ground. So Maverick, I think she's a pretty decent starter as far as, getting it in gear. She'll get it in gear, like whether it's the ground, but I definitely think that her stand-up could use a little bit more improvement, especially in this fight. You don't really want to stand with Mazo. So really, the blueprint is there. The blueprint is there for Maverick in this fight. Go back and watch the Alexis Davis fight. Alexis Davis, took this fight to the ground. Alexis Davis took it to the ground on Mazo. Granted, that was 135, but still, I think there's a good chance Maverick has the strength to do the same. As long as you can get ground control time in the first 2 rounds, no, you got to get it all 3 because Mazo get dangerous. Like, Mazo is like Macy Barber in a way. By the 3rd round, she is trying to drop that. She's trying to drop you. She try to kick you in the head. That head kick is something that she's always kind of dependent on, So that's what she's got to look for in this fight. You got to look for the inside from Maverick. Do not Miranda Maverick stay on the outside with Mazo. Don't even try to strike with her from the outside. If you got to strike, keep it on in the pocket first, maybe a few minutes or so. But then, it's got to be, pressure against the cage. It's got to be cage pressure. It's got to be a lot of cage pressure and mauling on the inside. Same way Moreau did to Agapova. Maul, take it down, ground control. Ground control, ground control, ground control. You really just want to get a win. For Maverick, taking it on short notice, you really want to go in there, get back in the winner's circle, and you want to take all the rounds. Like for Maverick, yeah, you want to get the submission, but you want a 30-27 or 2, if you get the chance. Either way is good. Mazo got to learn how to start faster in these fights. She got to learn how to, get it going. Like, because you never know. Maverick might choose to go in and out like Justine Keach did a few, portions of the round, get a few shots off, then take her down and cap off a round. So Mazo has to get into a groove here. Mazo, knees, imagine if she gets a tie clinch on Miranda. You got to be careful. Those knees can be deadly. And some people think maybe attacking the body on Maverick might slow her down. That could very much will be in the game plan for Mazo. Knees to the body. But it's going to be a good fight. Definitely going to be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. Let me see here. Let's see. That's 2B sent out a link, man, if you wanted to jump on. We talked earlier. So I sent it to you, 2Bs. Yeah. That's pretty much all I have on these fights. But I also put up Melissa Gatto and Moreau because I think that would be a good fight. I know on Facebook, Melissa Gatto posted up who should she fight next. I said, hey, Blanchfield, Moreau, or Lipsky. Either of them names I'll take. Either of those names are good to me. Let me see here. I'll just go back through the comments. Straight said, if Maverick can beat... Hold on. If Maverick can beat Mazo, she'll never beat... If Maverick can't beat Mazo, she'll never beat the ranked girl. She needs to make a big statement. Yeah. You got to go in there and destroy this type of fighter. If she can do it, then yeah, she'll be back in that mix. But it's crazy though, like it wasn't a striker that beat her. It was like a solid ground fighter like herself that just managed to just dominate in Erin Blanchfield. But yeah, I definitely think she can win this one though. It's got to just be, constant pressure in this fight. It's got to be on the inside. It's got to be work. It's going to be work. Let me see. Julian. Who do I got against Julian Aldrich? I'm not sure yet. I haven't gave y'all my picks yet for this situation. Let me see. Who do I have? I don't know. I'll give y'all my picks on Thursday or something. But y'all can give out y'all's picks. Okay. So with that, what else we got going on here? Okay, here we go. All right, got a special guest in the building. Well, I don't know how special he is. He more like he's an in-house guest now. I think he graduated to in-house now. He ain't a special guest. Got 2Bs in here. What's going on, 2Bs?
Yo, what's up, man? What's up, Chad? How y'all doing?
Not much over here, man. Just talking about these fights. And wow, I never seen somebody come on that fast before. Well, he did this last week. Got BJ in the building as well. What's going on, BJ?
See, man, I see how you try to do me, man. It's all good.
How do you, man? I sent you that link quick, man.
What's up, man? Is that 2Bs?
It is.
Yes, sir.
Oh, shit. Oh, here we go.
Well, Why you say it like that?
Because Two Beast be trying. He be trying to come for me. I have to get on Two Beast.
Oh, he do. I
I'm
didn't know he do.
talking about, man. If anything, I'm the most like passive. I try to be the most passive motherfucker out here, man. Like,
I know. What's good, y'all?
Oh man, just looking forward to this fight
I
weekend
see
coming
Combo
up.
trying to get some shit started in here tonight. Let me get up. I was laying down, but let me get up. Combo trying to get some shit started tonight.
You know, I had to. I was like, let me go ahead and talk about his specialist, Julian Robertson.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing. Look, Julian, you know, she's a good fighter, man. I just need to see more. But let me get y'all take on these fights. Let me start with you, Two Beasts, man. Like, what do you think of this JJ Aldridge and Julian fight?
Excited to see it. First off, you know what I mean. When's the last time Julian stepped in? It's like late.
Just couple months ago against she fought Priscilla Cachoeira.
Priscilla. Right. Yeah, man. You know, hoping that she could continue the momentum. Hopefully, you know what I mean. I think we've seen both of them, like JJ Aldrich and Julian, and you know they've been around for a minute. So I think both of them are going to be looking to make a statement to hopefully move forward. So it'll make for like the action to be there, obviously, you know what I mean. But I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to take it. I'm not familiar enough with JJ Aldrich, unfortunately. And her, like, if you could describe to me like her main style, like just about like if someone asked you what's a JJ Aldrich fight look like, and you had like a minute to describe it, like what would that look like?
I say it's more like technical JoJo.
Okay, so more striker based than okay.
Striker and clinch, like she does a lot of clinch work too.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I mean, it's gonna be one of them classic ones. Jillian's gonna have to take it to the ground pretty much, unless she does want to do what Combo creatively suggested with that analogy earlier. He's like,
sometimes the thing about Julian Robertson, sometimes it depends on the opponent, but sometimes Julian will get comfortable on the feet like she did in the fight with Courtney Casey. You know what I'm saying? She'll find her footing, you know what I'm saying, on the feet, and then she'll start to have success on the feet. You know what I'm saying? She'll go for a takedown, probably the early rounds. You know what I'm saying? She'll snag a takedown, control JJ Aldridge, land some damage, you know what I'm saying, and get that planted, dominate JJ on the ground, plant that seed in JJ's mind. And then she come out round 2 or round 3, and then you see Robertson bouncing in and out, you know what I'm saying, throwing head kicks and combinations on the feet, you know what I'm saying, because JJ will be worried about her takedowns. I keep bringing up the Courtney Casey fight, but that's what happened in the Courtney Casey fight. You know what I'm saying? She took Courtney Casey down rounds 1 and 2, dominated her, you know what I'm saying, and then round 3, you know what I'm saying, we see Julian strike. Eventually, it led to a takedown, but we've seen, more than half of a round of striking from Robertson. Successful striking. So not necessarily like damaging striking, but successful striking.
Mm-hmm. With Jillian, we can say like, okay, this is what she needs to do, but like, what is it that JJ is going to do to win this fight and win it convincingly? Because we say Jillian all day, take it to the ground, because we know that's how good she is at that. But like JJ, like, why is it hard to pick?
Because for JJ, it's like, we've seen, like I said to you the other day, Combo, like we've seen flashes of good shit from JJ. Like in the fight with Macy Barber, how many times did she drop Macy Barber with that straight punch in that fight? A few times. You know what I'm saying? So like we've seen good moments from JJ Aldridge, but to me, she just has to be smart and not allow Jillian to start applying pressure. Because if she lets Jillian apply pressure, it's Jillian's fight all night. You know what I'm saying? Like if Jillian puts her on the back foot, it's Jillian's fight all night.
Yeah. JJ, I think, has a lot of good stuff, but yeah, like I said, it's always on a plateau with her. Like, don't really crumble, but she don't really level up enough. She just ain't leveling up enough, because like I won't say she struggled with Courtney Casey, but Courtney Casey was giving her some work in that fight. And like Jillian showed that she was a specialist, like BJ says, in her field, that Courtney Casey was an easy fight. You know what I mean? It was more so easy fight for her because she specialized in something. So JJ still needs like one thing I think that really needs to stand out, even going into this fight, to just like shut down Julian, if that makes sense.
She's gonna have to sit down on some punches and earn some respect from Robertson. But you know what I'm saying? The thing about Julian, she gets hit hard. You know what I'm saying? Like she gets hit hard, and sometimes it doesn't even phase her. Like Cachoeira was popping Julian Robertson with a nice, hard, stiff jab. Sorry if y'all hear the rain. I'm standing on my porch. But you know what I'm saying? Like Cachoeira was hitting her with some nice shots. It was somebody else that was Courtney Casey was hitting Julian Robertson with nice shots. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it takes somebody like Macy Barber, you know what I'm saying, to stop Jillian in her tracks with punches. You know what I'm saying? Because she got stopped in her tracks with Macy Barber. But you know what I'm saying? Other than that, we haven't seen anybody punish Jillian Robertson. Like she hasn't been punished except in that one fight. So, you know, I mean, she's been dominated, like she's been held down and mauled, but you know, she's never been punished. So, I mean, you know, except for the Barber fight. So JJ Aldridge is gonna have to pull something out.
Mm-hmm. So we know Jillian's a specialist, BJ, but like you do agree that something else needs to happen though, right? As far as if she wants to break into the top 15, right?
For me, it's like it's like whatever tools that Jillian Robertson can develop isn't going to do anything but help her. You know what I'm saying? Like it's only going to help her it's only going to help her execute her game plan even more. Like her developing a solid striking game is only going to make her jiu-jitsu that much easier and that much better. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having to take girls down, maybe she can knock somebody down. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, you know what I'm saying, somebody that is a specialist and is as tenacious as Jillian Robertson is still kind of like, you know, well, you know, they got to stop her from doing what she's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? How it's going to become a question of, it's going to start. I think it's going to change from what can Jillian Robertson do better, you know what I'm saying, to how can these people stop Jillian Robertson from doing what she does. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
some people been able to. Everybody has it, but some people have.
Yeah.
She's not gonna win it. She's not gonna win every fight. Nobody's gonna win every fight, but
right. Yeah, a few people have. A few people have, like, they, you know, that is kind of the question, like, how do you stop a ground fighter like her, Mackenzie Dern? And, you know, there were certain people that could do it, but, you know, they had to have that thing, like Taylor or Miranda. They had to have specific things, but, like, I'm still trying to find out what JJ has in this one, you know? Like, I'm not with my pick yet, but I just think I had to really think, man, like, what is JJ going to do in here similar to Miranda or Taylor, though? Like, who would you pick in this anyways, 2Bs? Who you going to pick?
I don't know. I'm leaning, I don't know, like I maybe coming off that momentum from the last fight. I mean, Priscilla is typically the one where you expect her to go out there and knock someone out. Like that's her path to victory, is standing, being a brawler on standing essentially.
Yeah.
Now with it pretty much put it like this: if you got Priscilla Cachoeira and JJ Aldrich, and you're like comparing their striking ability and their power and this, that, and other, would you say that you have a better chance of getting knocked out by Priscilla or by JJ Aldrich?
Priscilla Cachoeira.
Yeah, Priscilla would knock you out first. I think. yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah. But JJ don't count out her counterpunching now. Like she did drop Macy Barber 2 times, but it's all about that animal too. Like Cachoeira will follow up. Like sometimes JJ will take a back seat like Grasso.
How's her footwork?
I think her footwork is good. I think her footwork is pretty good. She's very good. You know, she trains with Rose too. You know, they both come from like a Taekwondo background. and her boxing is pretty solid. You know, so
But to me, Julian's been in there with far more dangerous.
I knew that was coming. He said, I knew the butt. That's why I was like, let me just slow down because I know butt is coming in there.
She's been in there with far more dangerous strikers than JJ Aldrich, though. Like
technical, what about technical wise? Like dangerous, I think power. But what about like technique? Like what striker was a better technical striker than Aldridge?
Poliana Botelho.
Poliana Botelho. I think Poliana Botelho is a specialist when it comes to Muay Thai.
What about Tyler?
I would give the edge to Aldridge. I would give it. I give that to Aldridge. I like Poliana, but I think Aldridge is a better striker.
What about Tyler?
Well, her and Tyler Santos didn't really strike though. Like there wasn't any striking in that fight, like none whatsoever. Like the striking was non-existent in that fight. It was more like ground and pound and positionally dominated Julian Robertson, and just like she like stalemated her. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of the same as what I mean. We see more striking in the Miranda Maverick fight than we saw in the Taylor Santos fight.
Yeah,
Taylor just bodied her.
Mm-hmm. Didn't give her a chance to use her hands in that fight.
Didn't give her a chance to do nothing. Like she literally gave Julian Robertson no chance to do anything in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So my last question before I give you the pick: compare their two sizes in regards to like reach and you know what I'm saying. Who's gonna go into the cage weighing more?
I think actually, you know, they're talking about straw weight, her moving down, but I think Julian would weigh more, don't you, BJ? What about you? Hang on, let me see. Is he still there? Hold up.
I'm here, bro.
Oh yeah. Who do you think comes in bigger, Julian or JJ? I think Julian does.
I don't know yet. I was about to say, dude, because Julian Robertson is deceptive. Like she looks small. You know what I'm saying? She does look small, but when Julian told me like her weight, you know what I'm saying? Like what she weighs, like what she typically weighs on fight night and what she walks around at, you know, how much weight she cuts. It's like Julian carries a lot more weight than what we think. You know what I'm saying? Like we say when she's in the cage, like she's kind of hunched over. She's got that curvature of the spine. Like she talks about that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You know, she's kind of hunched over in the cage, so she looks small. But Julian Robertson, it's kind of like Casey O'Neill. Like she carries some weight for her frame. You know what I'm saying? And you know the way. Another thing that leads me to how you know what I'm saying how much she weighs and how deceptively big she is how frustrated Courtney Casey was. Like the words that she was saying, you know what I'm saying? Like she feels like a fucking blanket. That was her word. You know what I'm saying? Like to her corner, like she's like a fucking blanket. You know what I'm saying? And Courtney Casey's a big athletic girl, you know what I'm saying? Who I thought would be bigger than Robertson in there, but it didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, with JJ Aldridge, just the way she looks, because she's not like as toned, you know what I'm saying? So she looks like she's bigger. I don't know, Combo.
Yeah, because they're about the same height. They're both about 5'5", but I remember JJ used to be at 115. But if you look at her now, she do got a little bit more weight to her.
Right.
You know, I think the smaller frame is. I think JJ. I don't know. They're about the same. Like I think they're about the same frames when I look at them. I just
they got about the same frame. A little longer. Like they just got like different body composition.
Yeah.
So with that, all right. So my take on it is okay. We have JJ Aldrich, mostly a striker, utilizes clinch, likes to utilize clinch or whatever. Very technical on the feet, has good footwork. But same size as Julian, and then Julian was dominated by someone. Tyler's like 5'7"ish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna give the nod to Julian slightly. I'm thinking like a close split decision, 29-28, unless she like can get it to the ground real early in the round and like have time to pass and this, that, and other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll side with Julian, but you know, to me it's like 50-50 because you know it depends on which fighter shows up, and then also the point you made with the lack of killer instinct in comparison to like a Grasso. I think if you don't have the killer instinct like a Macy had, you're not gonna necessarily be able to turn away Jillian as she's coming in, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's just my anticipation of it. I'll slightly side with Jillian.
All right. And I think we know BJ is not slightly. He's all in it.
Oh, it's a
All
watch,
in it.
bro. It's a watch.
If it's a poker table, he got chips on there. He pushed it, like, just, you know what I'm saying.
Watch what I say though. Watch what I say. Julian is gonna wash JJ Aldrich. Like, just watch what I say. I'm telling you, Julian Robertson is gonna wash, because she know now, in order to be taken seriously in this division, she's been in this division so long, and here she is sitting without a ranking. You know what I'm saying? Like, Julian Robertson is like, I'm telling you, dude, she's more fired up now than she's been. She's got that 2018 hunger. You know what I'm saying? Like, that hunger when she first burst into the UFC, when Jillian was just snatching fucking necks. You know what I'm saying? Every fight you turn on, Julian Robertson snatches somebody fucking neck. She's back. I think she's feeling that same kind of drive again. 2019, 2018 to 2020, you couldn't touch Julian Robertson, bro. Like, I mean, she was on a roll. Like, she was on a roll.
Unless your name is Miranda Taylor. Sorry.
Unless your name is Miranda Taylor, yeah. They got it. But I mean, but look at the career trajectories of Miranda Maverick since she fought Julian Robertson. Look at the trajectory of Macy Barber since she fought Julian Robertson. Like, these girls, look at Brano Silva after she beat Julian Robertson. You know what I'm saying? Like, these girls ain't the same when they leave a fight with Julian Robertson. I'm just saying.
Dang. Okay. All right. But let me ask you this: if she beats JJ Aldridge, does she have to fight another unranked fighter, or should she get a top 15?
No, she'll probably get a rank.
I would give her
over
a
Aaron or
because
who's 14?
This fight is before the De La Rosa Montana fight. You know what I'm saying? So that fight has ranking implications on it because Macy is ranked.
Yeah.
But with Julian Robinson two fight winning streak, dude, she should swap Aaron Blanchfield. They should swap Aaron Blanchfield out and give Robertson that number 15 spot.
Swap or fighter?
Either one.
Yeah, I'll take the fight.
Either one. Yeah, let's take the fight. Let's do the fight. Yes, absolutely. You know,
I actually really like that one because they both grapplers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But Aaron Blanchfield is a marauder on the feet, though. You know what I'm saying? That's you know, you can call it an edge that she has over Robertson. You know what I'm saying? And Aaron Blanchfield, dude. When I seen the way I seen Aaron Blanchfield just come forward on, what was the girl she fought before she fought Miranda Maverick?
Alpar.
Yeah, Sarah Alpar, dude. The way she just, I mean, I was shocked. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I was fucking shocked at how at how Aaron Blanchfield just mauled her, like, on the feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, in hard shots, hard, clean shots, no bullshit shots. We're talking real hard shots. You know what I'm saying?
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, I was a little surprised.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that would be good for Julian. You know, get that top 15, get a 15 now. You know, she's been around a minute. She got a lot of wins on her resume, so I'll give her that, man, definitely. Mazo Maverick, what are y'all thinking, man? What's your thoughts, 2B?
So you know, the Macy Barber thing happened, you know what I mean, and whatever. But at the end of the day, the record book showed 2 in a row, and then the problem is the second loss was a lot more dominant than the first loss. So what it essentially puts in the eyes of anybody analyzing it just from a statistics standpoint, it's like, okay, she went from a split decision to a unanimous decision where she really didn't afford any type of, you know, opposition. You know what I'm saying? So it's like downward trajectory type of thing that people are going to look at like, I don't know, maybe we should think about it. And just in regards to the UFC, you know, brass that are deciding who gets cut and who doesn't. So because of that, definitely a must win for her.
Yeah.
And then as far as Mazo, obviously she just got stopped in her last fight, which is her second loss in a row. So it's a fight where both fighters are definitely at a must win situation, which will, you know, bring like a exciting fight, I would assume, because both fighters are gonna want to bring it and show that, hey, UFC, you shouldn't cut me, essentially. As far as the styles, Macy shows more of that all around game, whereas Mazo is obviously the striker, prone to do that head kick, just like Combo said. But I think Miranda's defense is good enough to not necessarily get caught clean by that. So, I mean, it's just going to come down to, I think her path to victory is obviously to impose more of grappling, that being Miranda. And then Mazo, you know, her issue is like, if she came in and looked the way she did against Maria Agapova, you know what I'm saying? That to me, I don't know. I don't know if she's gonna come in with what it takes to really be able to nullify anything that Miranda Maverick wants to do.
I just want Maverick to stop being so analytical in the cage and just kind of let go just a little bit. Like, just let go just a little bit and just, you know what I'm saying, get maybe just a little wild in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying, throw a Hail Mary punch, like hurt somebody. Like, I want to see her hurt somebody. I have not seen her hurt anybody but Liana Jojua. And we see where Jojua is right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see Miranda hurt somebody. I want to see her land a big punch, you know, show her power a little bit. She's too damn big to not have no power. You know, like when we talk about these when we talk about these hard-hitting grapplers like De La Rosa, Blanchfield, you know, et cetera, we should be saying Miranda Maverick's name too, and we ain't saying her name.
Yeah, I think with what Miranda possesses, like, she really should, I won't say fully turn into this type of fighter, but she should really go watch what Jessica Andrade does with her size and tank-like frame. Like, take the best from what Andrade does and make it technical or make it better, because like, she's wide. Like, she should always be in the pocket. Like, she should never have her head exposed. She got the low center of gravity. She shouldn't be getting taken down by Aaron, in my opinion. Like I know Aaron's
watch Jafian Nunes.
Yeah, like Aaron's good. Aaron's a very solid grappler, but like, she shouldn't have been taken down that easy, man. Like, she really shouldn't have, man. It should have been more so competitive, but it wasn't. You know, so I think, you know, Maverick really does have to go in there and impose her tank-like frame a little bit more in there. I mean, you know, you got to, because Mazo is going to be looking to finish, man, you know, and you got to be out the way. Yeah, you got to get her out the way, man. What do you think about Maverick's hands overall, BJ? I need to ask you that, because I know you've been waiting to talk about Maverick. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and go in.
No, man. I'm not. It's not that I'm waiting to talk about Maverick. Like, I like Maverick, bro. Okay. Like, I'm not mad at Maverick, but she just, like, she's not showing us nothing, bro. She's not showing us anything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
anything? I mean,
on the feet, bro. Like, on the feet, she's just like, she's like touch, move, touch, move, touch, move. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not to bring up De La Rosa, but I have to bring up De La Rosa because her biggest criticism from everybody is her hands. But at least what we get from Montana De La Rosa is a punch that we can hear. You know what I'm saying? At least we get some pop. At least we get some reaction out of fighters when they get hit clean by Montana De La Rosa. You know what I'm saying? We ain't getting that from Miranda Maverick. And if you ask me, Miranda Maverick has more of a frame and a build to be suited for that kind of for that kind of striking, for that kind of pop on the end of a punch.
She does.
We don't get that from her. Technically, she's a decent striker. Technically, you know what I'm saying. But she, you know, she ain't got that pop. She ain't got that pop behind her. She don't have that commitment to, like, hurt you. You know what I'm saying? That step in elbow. I mean, that's an elbow. You know what I'm saying, on Jojua. You know what I'm saying? That's an elbow. That's the elbow shots are risky anyways. But as far as, like, punches, I seen Julian Robertson snap Miranda Maverick's head back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying if I said, you know, there wasn't no problems with the striking. But yeah, you got to sit down on shots. Like, you got to, like, the Joe Jewel fight, I thought she was going to go somewhere with that because she showed a lot of technique in that, angles, body kicks, straight left
Yeah,
hands, so she didn't really need it in the Jillian fight as much, but to me, she needed that approach against Macy to close out that fight. Like if she would have
mhm.
committed on Macy like that, she could have 30-27 or she probably could have stopped Macy.
She could have held Macy down.
Yeah, yeah. She'd have held Macy down. I think she had everything needed, like stand up or just like taking it to the ground or like stand up in the Aaron fight. Like
Mhm.
the footwork wasn't there. That's why, Aaron was quick to scoop her up, man. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I feel like she may have lost like just a tiny bit combo, just a tiny bit of focus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I think her focus got messed up just a little bit because, like, right after that JoJo win, even though that was a low level fight, that was a big win for, you know what I'm saying? That was a big win for Maverick because that Georgian wave, that was right smack dab in the middle of that Georgian wave. You know what I'm saying? Marab Wallace, really, Roman Delize, the dude that's missionary in Cheyenne Bays. You know what I'm saying? Like him. You know what I'm saying? Like all of them Georgian fighters came in, and she got that win. You know what I'm saying? But then she kind of like it's like she took a step. Maybe she lost it because she started being more on like social media and taking photos and like. She kind of fell into that after that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like maybe she lost a little bit of focus.
Yeah, because to improve, like let's be real, to improve, I mean you got to be caged up like Manon. You know what I mean? Like Manon is working day in, day out, and you don't really see too much until she does like a video for her YouTube channel. That's leading up to the fight. But like Manon is always in this other headspace when it comes to, climbing these rankings. I mean, same with Taylor Santos, so there has to be like I won't say a balance. There has to be the dedication has to outweigh everything else, man. The fight game, just has to outweigh more, especially if he's going for championship. Real quick, Zaman just like to do this. He like to get me talking, but if you say somebody's hopeless, man, I hope you got a belt at home. Look, if you say somebody is hopeless, take a picture, email me your strap at home. Email me your multiple straps, and I want to see your multiple knockout and submission resume.
Who did he say was hopeless?
Miranda. But then he said Agapova was hopeless.
Oh, Agapova might be, but Maverick.
No, neither one is hopeless.
I don't think Maverick is hopeless. I just think she needs to focus.
I mean, these are young fighters. Like, if you say 36 years old and they doing this, they're hopeless. But 24 years old and 23-year-old is not hopeless. 2 fights lost and 1 is questionable. Where is that hopeless? Like, talk to me. Like, I just want to know. 7-13 might sound hopeless, but 2 losses in a row, 1 questionable.
I gotta hear this.
I'll wait. No, we keep it going. I mean, we could keep it going. I mean, I'll just wait for him in the chat. I mean, he ain't gonna say nothing. But anyways, Mazo, man, what does she got to do, man?
Movement. I'd say avoid the grappling because I think Miranda's gonna have an advantage in that department, and it's probably gonna be path of least resistance. So she's gonna need good movement. A jab. I don't know why long fighters don't implement their jab, and I feel like almost as much as you do about combo when it comes to fighters and the importance of a jab. It's like if you have like, not saying that Mazo has it, but like there's fighters that be having like 2, 3, 4 inches higher in reach over their opponent and do not, like they don't freaking jab, dog. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's like if you put so much energy and effort into that jab, like a lot of strength into it, and it lands flush, I mean, you could break someone's nose. Yeah. You disrupt their breathing, which affects their cardio, which, I mean, there's so many different benefits to a jab. It's insanity. But like you got fighters that are long and like strikers and they don't utilize a jab. But
we
for
see
Mazo,
grapplers at 125 sometimes using a jab better than a striker. But go ahead.
yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, I would say, Mazo, that's the path to victory. Jab the hell out of Miranda, because it's gonna disrupt her anything that she's trying to set up. You know what I'm saying? If she's trying to close distance, if she's trying to do this, that, the other. I think Miranda's either 5'3" or 5'3.5" ish. And you know what I'm saying? She's gonna be the shorter fighter. And then Mazo's like 5'6", 5'7". I know there has to be some sort of edge and reach there. So it's
it's like 4.5 inch reach.
She needs to jab till her damn fist breaks and just keep throwing it out there and then move a lot. And then, if she finds opportunity for the 2, you know what I'm saying? Throw the 2 in there behind it. But start with that damn jab and jab. Fall in love with it. You know what I'm saying? That's to me, that's the main thing. Don't what's the word I'm looking for? Like essentially by any means necessary depend on the head kick to be your path of it. Like just jab, bro. MMA with the 10-point must system, which I loathe. At the end of the day, it's about telling these judges who, you know what I'm saying, control the fight better. And no better way to control the fight than constantly be jabbing someone and they can't set their shots up. It just nullifies anything a person really trying to do. And it's the clear path to victory when you have that big of a reach. So fall in love with the jab is what Mazo has to do.
Oh yeah, Zalman, you repeating yourself. You done said that. Nothing in there is factual. I mean, come on. Like Aaron, nothing in that fight said any of that stuff you said. It was just somebody that was outskilled, and like somebody else made a point. Maybe her mind frame was in a different place. Okay. But no, I ain't listening to that.
I would like to. I mean, ain't nothing in there. You gonna say what you gonna say about what I'm getting ready to say?
Go ahead.
But I'd like to see Miranda Maverick have the same commitment to power that Casey O'Neill and Montana De La Rosa got, bro.
Like, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. But I would also say that they need to have the same type of technical skill that she has in certain departments.
But if they match,
that's what I'm saying. Like some people have some things, some people don't. But yeah, I agree with that. Like, yeah, Montana can swing a jab when she lets it go. It looks good when she lets it go, but is it commitment there? Like, not as maybe a little bit more than Miranda, but still, like, I would say, yeah, Miranda would need that. She could use that. But out of all of them, Casey is looking the best. So I would say
her striking looks better than Montana's in that Roxy
Casey
fight.
Looks better than all of them. So yeah, if anything, I would just say Casey because she's executing and
her striking looks better. Her striking looks better. Her striking looks better than theirs.
She uses it more. Uses it more. That's why it gets better. So yeah, I would say Casey only really to me, like because she's really going somewhere with it from her past 3 fights. So yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
That's like I want to see that type of confidence. I feel like Miranda's not confident in it. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not confident in her stand-ups. Like that's why she plays her stand-up so safe because she's not confident in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Like it's just I'm gonna use Mandy Baum as an example. When Mandy Baum was fighting Ariane Lipsky, we know Mandy Baum could have taken the fight to the ground. You know what I'm saying? And Mandy Baum was clearly losing the striking fight, but she was confident in what she was doing. She knew that she could, get in there with Ariane Lipsky. You know what I'm saying? Striking with Ariane Lipsky is dangerous for anybody. You know what I'm saying? But she showed confidence. De La Rosa showed it in the fight with Atarujo. She showed that confidence. I don't feel like Miranda Maverick has those same guts and tenacity and confidence, you know what I'm saying, in her striking. She's got good striking. To me, I think since she's got decent striking. But she just don't have it. She just don't have that. She don't have that grit about it though. She don't have. She don't have.
Like is falling in the middle. Like it's better than Jillian's to me. That's why I get mad because she don't use it enough. But there's still some room for a lot of improvement, even like sitting down on the power. Like she's got that frame that should be able to deliver that type of pressure. See, that's why I'm listening to you, BJ, because you actually saying some facts here, but like Zaman just talking about somebody's body frame and that ain't really based off of a past loss or win. I can't really go off of that. But what you're saying is facts. That's why I can agree with the fact.
Why you going for Zaman, man? What Zaman do to you, bro?
I mean, when you talk about people are hopeless, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, I thought you know something. Like, come on, man. Like too much muscle mass. You saying somebody has no cardio when they only lost these 2 fights here and didn't have any cardio issues against Macy Barber. It was just getting bodied by Aaron. Like, how is that no cardio? Like, how you have no core strength when she's already stopped people and taken people down in the past? She picked up a big fighter in Victoria Leonardo. She bodied a lot of girls. So I'm just like, come on, man. Like, let's speak facts.
And when she shoots takedowns, she gets them. Like when she shot that takedown on Julian Robertson, put Julian Robertson on her back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see that. Like, I want to see her, you know what I'm saying, be a little more rough and rugged, you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, Miranda Maverick, she got it. She got everything she needs. You know what I'm saying? She just got to make it happen. You know, she's got to make it. I see more potential in like Casey O'Neill and Manon. You know what I'm saying? I just see more potential in them than I do in Miranda Maverick. I see them, even Montana, like all, you know, being a fan of Montana De La Rosa, take that out of it. Just looking at her skill set, it's just I see more from her than I do from Miranda.
I see more from Manon.
I mean, I said that.
I see a lot. I'm just saying I see a lot from Manon, and I just want to, you know how I feel about her style. But Australia asked this question he asked us this question: when Andrade and Calvillo drop out of 125, who replaces them? Gatto, Julian, Maverick, Buena Silva, or Montana?
Well, you can't put Montana in that because Montana's fighting a ranked opponent. So if she beats Macy Barber, then you know what I'm saying, she gets that ranking. So take Montana out of there. I see, I see Julian Robertson with a win over JJ Aldrich. I see her getting into the rankings. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I see it happening. And maybe if Miranda Maverick, because they love to give Miranda Maverick a ranking. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if she wins, you know what I'm saying, that by that time, maybe Casey O'Neill will be in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, Casey O'Neill will be in the top 10. Depending on what happens with this De La Rosa fight, like, who knows how the rank is going to look when they shift, because they're getting ready to shift. We're getting ready to see a big shift in the rankings with Calvillo and Andrade gone. So, what you think about that?
I think
I'm looking at Maverick and Julian getting into the rankings.
Yeah, I'm looking at them too because first off, I'm looking at Julian because Aldridge is a good win. Like you beat Aldridge, and whenever Calvillo's gone, it'll be between her and Gatto. Actually, in my opinion, I think because Gatto is in a good standing right now. She's 2-0. Mazo and Maverick are really trying to stay in there right now because they're both on losing streaks. So I'm looking at like Jillian because Jillian's gonna go to a two fight win streak, right? When if she can beat Aldridge, and then Montana, she'll be in there if she can beat Macy.
Yeah,
Silva, I don't know. She's going to 135 right now, so she's going 135 her next fight.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, her next fight's against what's her name? Wmma.
Oh, really? Oh, that's gonna be crazy to see her at 135.
Yeah, so she might be making her way up there. She look good. Oh, okay. So I'll say I'm sorry to Jamin. I mean, his latest comment just showed me he just playing and he ain't serious. So okay, I won't take you serious anymore. All right, I won't do that anymore.
Bro, you know who's gonna end up with a ranking?
Yeah,
Priscilla Castaneda gonna end up with a damn ranking if she keep dispatching these girls. Like if she keep winning.
Castaneda?
Like Cash Wader gonna end up with a ranking, bro.
I don't see that. I don't see that anytime soon, man.
Okay, who did Cash Wader just lose to before this fight?
Well, let me see. Jillian.
That's right. It was Julian Robertson. But she was on a two fight winning streak before that?
Against Mazzani and Shannon Dobson. And before that, she lost to Carolina and Molly McCann.
Okay, but I'm saying
and the massacre by Valentina, I didn't even want to count that. But
Cash Wader, but one thing you can't deny though is that somebody winning. Like if Cash Wader can put another, like can get another win. I mean,
no, I disagree with that. I'm sorry. I just don't see Cachoeira getting the ranking, man, because Cachoeira. First of all, Cachoeira did not win the fight the previous week.
I was just about to say that last win was kind of questionable. So you come off a questionable win, coming off of a losing streak. It's like, eh.
But they might do Melissa Gatto versus Cash Wader though.
That'd be interesting.
They might do Melissa Gatto versus Cash Wader.
Ooh, I hope they do, man. Gatto gonna skin her,
man. Cash Wader gonna knock her clean. Cash Wader gonna knock her smooth out.
No, she ain't, man. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. You know Gatto gonna skin her like a cat, man. Come on. Especially, the only way she gonna get this out of this fight breathing is she try to thumb Gatto in the eye.
Bro, Cash Wader got them bricks though. Like, I mean, you gotta be straight up. Like, she got them bricks though.
Yeah, she was making a house with all them shots she was missing.
Come on, man. Like Cash Wader turned into Tony Ferguson at the end of that fight, bro. I was like, what am I watching?
And still lost.
She turned into Tony Ferguson at the end of that fight, bro. She did, bro. You know she did. She turned into Tony Ferguson. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, the last minute. Then she turned into a cowboy.
Come on, man.
Oh man.
If
getting the ranking now, like she's I think Molly McCann gets a ranking before she does.
We'll see.
Now you know that's true. You know Molly McCann got better skills than her.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But is Molly McCann on like any? I don't even know what her is. If she's on a streak or anything right now.
Let's see.
Wasn't her last fight against Quest or no? Who was it? It was against Jiyeon Kim, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
What'd she do before that?
Before that, she lost to Taylor Santos, I want to say. No, she lost to Procopio and Taylor Santos. So I don't know, man. She might be questionable too. Like the downfall to Molly is her ground game and I think her gas tank. So y'all want to talk gas tank? Like I like Molly's style, but sometimes seem like she can gas when she get taken to the ground. Like Taylor Santos had her working, man. And Julian got her too.
Oh yeah, Julian damn near took Molly's soul in that fight.
Yeah.
I mean, she did. You seen the soul stretch out of while Julian was choking her, you seen the soul coming out of Molly McCann, man. Then when Julian let go, it kind of went back in. Shit, it was leaving, bro. It was leaving. But who you think? But Combo, who you think? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who once these girls? Okay, let's say for instance, Robertson wins, De La Rosa wins, Maverick wins, and somehow they go ahead and remove, Calvillo and then from the rankings, and these girls get into the rankings. What do you think that does for like Jasmine Jasdavicius, Melissa Gatto? Like, what does it do for Mandy Baum, those girls? Who do you think out of that bunch that's unranked? Molly McCann, Ariane Lipsky, like who rises out of that bunch?
Oh man, I think Gatto rises first. Honestly, I think Gatto rises first. Then I think Jazzy, she probably have to get a win over somebody like Molly McCann or like Cachoeira. Yeah, that might be a fight, Jazzy versus Cachoeira, because Cachoeira is exciting, but let's face it, like she lacks a lot of skill, and that would be a good name for Jasmine to build off of. I can see Jasmine winning that fight. The
Cash
thing
Wade
is,
knock her smooth out.
Jasmine's defense isn't the best, and she takes bombs, so Priscilla might be able to capitalize.
Cash Wade to get out of there, bro.
See, I shouldn't have said that. I gotta start. Look. So anyway, Jasmine can take it to the ground though. Jasmine got a ground game, so I could see her getting that win, putting her in a good place. But Gatto to me rises out of those names first.
Who was Antonina fighting?
Courtney Casey.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God, bro. That's a starching.
But no. But hold on now. You forgetting the big name that was pissing you off yesterday. Had you talking in all caps. But this name here, we ain't talking about Marina Moreau. Where's Marina Moreau gonna fall into here? If she stays consistent.
he had to bring up Marina Moreau.
Marina
Moreau. Marina Moreau's. Marina Moreau's been gone. You know what I'm saying? Like she been gone.
She came back with the full force because everybody picked the guy.
She came back with the full force, but while she got to get in line because while she been gone, Manon, Casey O'Neill, Aaron Blanchfield, Melissa Gatto, you know what I'm saying? All Jasmine Jasdivisie is winning the what do you call it? The contender series, coming in getting a win. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she got to get in line. You know what I'm saying? Like you was gone for all of that time.
But she came back with a bomb win though. Everybody thought was gonna beat her. Everybody said Agapa was gonna beat her. Everybody who in this chat picked Moreau?
I did. No, I picked Agapova.
Yeah, I think Marcus was like the only one who picked Moreau besides me. Everybody picked Agapova because they said Agapa was going to thrash her. But
now, I said it was mainly the 2-year thing that made me question that it was going to be like a close one.
Right.
Because I didn't, I wasn't aware of the skills. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I was aware of it. I seen her fight a couple times. And I was thinking, like, yeah, she is 2-0 at flyweight ever since she moved up. So it could be contributed to the fact that she's not cutting as much. You know what I'm saying? And plus, she's got skill. I just thought 2-year layoff going against someone that's high off of momentum, really wants to take it to her because, they got the beef. I thought the ring rust would play a part in it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't doubt her skills. It's just like, that was my main thing. And I didn't even say that Agapa was going to thrash her. I didn't believe that for a second. I just thought it's like, 2-year layoff, I'm leaning more towards Agapa. But I would say Marina Moreau's, her level of potential to move up is on the same level as Aaron, Casey O'Neill, and them essentially. If she, is able to consistently continue to make it to fight. And I just want to say something about all those people about, the whole ducking situation, dog. Look, man.
I've been meaning to ask you about that. Yeah.
So it's like, I personally, right, when I saw all the cancellation, I'm like, come on, man. As a fan, I'm like, why, why this gotta happen? Me personally, I blame UFC more so than Marina. And I blame the system where it's like you book a fight 3.5, 4 months out, and it's just like you got everything under the sun that could happen in that time. They could stub a goddamn toe going up the stairs or some shit, and it's just like, fight's gone. There's the freaking thing that shall not be named. You got that going around. You got freaking everything that could possibly happen, visa, all types of stuff that could happen in 3 weeks, let alone 3 months. So that's my main thing. That's the first issue. The second thing, though, there was no point at which when she said, like when she put out all these different fights and all this, that, and the other, it's not like she came out and said, oh, there's this and this. It wasn't really talked about. And when she finally came out and addressed every single one of the pullouts, it's like, listen, between injury and visa issues and that shall not be named, the restrictions revolving around that and her country, she was having an issue getting back in this, that, and other. people don't understand how promotions work. It's not like you just all of a sudden book a fight and then that person just shows up and then they fight. No, they got to get visas. They got to get a whole bunch of different documents filled out. They got to book the flights. They got to make sure nothing gets canceled. They got to there's a lot of logistics that go into it. So when you plan on this person being able to break through those visa issues, to break through all those different challenges with paperwork and all that bullshit, sometimes that does fall through. And Marina Moroz is not necessarily a Conor McGregor, so the UFC is not going to put out the big bucks to make sure that that one fighter can overcome that visa issue. So they might have planned.
In that case, they wouldn't offer the fighter fights. If they're not, if the promotion's not going to work hard to get them over here, then why offer them a fight if they know they're gonna say, "Oh, well, she wasn't the visa issues. We're just gonna whatever."
Yeah,
whatever. No, that doesn't make. I mean, some of this shit was Marina Moroz not wanting to fight. You know what I'm saying? I get that there were some complications, but double-digit pullouts. Come on, man, double-digit pullouts. That's crazy.
I was kind of in that same boat too. I was trying to figure out why, because I was like, if she's really injured, why would the UFC keep trying to put her on consistently? Like, why would, like, okay, if they know you're injured, look, Michelle Waterson put it out there. Look, I might be out for a long period. Do you think they're going to try to book a fight for her? They shouldn't.
Exactly.
She's already stamped the injury.
The UFC knows they're only going to offer you have to, like, you know what I'm saying? They are looking at your doctor records. They're looking at everything, like, to see if this fighter is available to fight. You know, if you're injured, the UFC has knowledge that you're injured. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I mean, they're only going to offer you a fight if you can fight. And that's why the whole Antonina was injured shit was some bullshit, because they wouldn't have offered Antonina to fight if she, you know, with Julian Robertson. If she
had to bring that up.
You know what I'm saying?
My main thing is this though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the evidence? Now, when I say evidence, I mean this person literally said, "Ow, I hurt my foot. My ankle's fucked up." And then you got them on Instagram fucking doing ballet dancing the very next week. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, where is the evidence saying this person wasn't really injured, didn't really get injured, or they said they had visa issues, but they're clearly seen in the fucking States at a party somewhere? Like, where's the visual evidence that this person actually legitimately said they had this issue and they really didn't have that issue? I get it. You can go off of track records and you can speculate, but understand that it is speculation. And then when she finally disclosed, "Hey, this is what happened, we fixed all that," she showed up to fight. And as far as the ducking thing, it's like, I mean, I could think of several different fighters that are worth ducking. There's plenty worth ducking, but it's like, it just happened to be the two that are on the come up. And it's just like, now it's like, oh, she ducking everybody, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I'm like, I blame the circumstance where it's like,
you walk like a duck, look like a duck, and sound like
every single fighter that ever said, you know what I'm saying, they got injured, it ain't real. Pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Valentina, when she got injured, it was ducking. Amanda, when she got injured, it was ducking.
But those fighters didn't put out double-digit times consecutively.
I get that, bro.
Times. Come on, man. That's sketchy. That's sketchy as fuck.
If Moreau was on the back burner, she should have just said, "Look, to the UFC, don't book me for anything because this injury ain't healed up." But it's almost like the injury's okay depending on who the opponent is. Right?
No. What I'm saying is, like, injury comes into play. It doesn't, like, I'm getting booked to a fight while I'm injured. Injury heals up, another injury either re-aggravated or another injury comes up. Or, hey, I should be able to make it, or whatever, and then come to find out, oh, visa doesn't work out. It's like, I'm not saying she didn't duck necessarily 100%. I'm just saying we don't know anything, because there's no physical evidence of her saying one thing and being proved to have done another. At the end of the day, yeah, she pulled out of the fights. Whatever. I mean, here's the thing about Jessica I. So she put out a fight saying it's an injury, and people are like, "Oh, she didn't want to fight Manon." Motherfucker, she fought Valentina. I mean, you can't be more scared of Manon than you are Valentina.
There's a high risk.
High risk, low reward.
I get all that.
It's not necessarily that a person is fearful of their opponent. It's fearful of their stock dropping and possibly getting cut. Like Moreau, I'm not saying that she's terrified of Manon or any of these fighters, but given the way they're moving right now and the way she's moving, she might get beat and lose her position in the UFC. So it's more about losing money and losing their stock. That's how I see it. But I still consider it a duck, but it's like a duck in the fashion of, not wanting to put your record or your reputation on the line, but not like I'm thinking of this person as the boogie woman, right? The whole boogie woman and boogie man, that's just a figure of speech because they're fearful of losing what they have versus me just being scared of being eaten by the monster alive because she's got this powerful right hand. They don't mind getting hit, but they mind when their pockets take a hit. That's all I'm saying.
Their pockets take more of a hit if they don't show up to the fight, though. You paid all them people for that fight, Cam, and then you turn around and didn't actually fight. Now your pockets is hit even more. So it really doesn't. You get paid more to get your ass whooped than to not show up, and inevitably paid more indefinitely because if you skip the fight and
beat downs, no, you don't. You're gonna get cut. That's what I'm saying. Like Moreau don't want to take back-to-back L's, or get beaten up to the point where she can't perform because this person was that good. They don't want to suffer that many L's in a row. Like, yeah, you get beat by showing up, but what about the next fight? What about the next fight? That's my point of where I think she's at, though.
I mean, like I said, like it I don't necessarily disagree with anybody. My main thing is, though, we don't know. It's purely speculation. For just to say that she's just this duck, da 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 da. And I'm not this huge Marina Moreau's fan. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just glad she finally showed up. That I was more excited about, you know what I'm saying? Thank God she showed up more than anything. We got to see a fight and an impressive fight. That's what but then we hear all the duck and I'm like, come on, man, just be happy she showed up. Like, we've been getting on her for all this thing. Kama was even like, yo, I'll believe it when she steps in the cage. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it. And it's like, let's just be happy she showed up and see what she does moving forward. Now, if she then turns around, let's say Casey O'Neill wants to fight her or something, or like, let's say, someone wants to fight her to move up and they're up and coming prospect, and then she pulls out again. And let's say that it's a visa issue. Now she can't say. That's why it's like, I'm not so quick to say it's a duck immediately because now she done already put it out there. Prior to this fight, she didn't put nothing out there. Now it's like, okay, the visa issue is fixed. She said that in several interviews. You know what I'm saying? No injuries, da-da-da-da. Now moving forward, she ain't got no excuse. There's literally nothing you can say now in regards to the visa. Now, if she pulls the visa issue again, now I'm like, okay, this is more so you really don't want to fight this person. Because now you've already disclosed it.
Yeah. My thing is with these fighters from overseas, they should already know like time frames and certain situations they have to do with paperwork. Because there was somebody, BJ, I think we were talking about not too long ago. I think it was a man in the UFC of like not being on point with his papers. If he knew he was going to be fighting, like, why would he wait to the last minute? That's why it put the fight in jeopardy. Can't remember who it was, but it was a situation like that.
It was Nasrat Haqparast against Dan Hooker.
Dang, right there. Okay, he got it around point. Yeah, that fight. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm getting at with the whole visa thing. And like I said, I think that's what it comes down to. I know Stamina don't agree. He said me and BJ got to take our 10-4 hats off. I mean, I'm speaking facts again, bro. That's what I'm going off of. So you can disagree or not, but that's how I see it, man. It's like there are certain situations where there are going to be ducks. Like this business is a chess. It's a game of chess. Certain things you are going to duck to get your way. And that's maybe just some things that she was doing. That's all I'm saying about Moreau. Again, it's nothing to question her heart or say she's a coward at all. I'm just saying that there's times that you might have to say, okay, well, there is high risk, low reward here, right?
Yeah, to me, I'll immediately acknowledge someone, maybe they did try to dodge this fight, whatever. If, the fight is...
Oh, hold on,
like,
man.
put it up.
You can come in. Yeah, I seen your link, Stamina, but I don't need no help. I got this. Stanley say I need to help you out. I'm good. I mean, let me send you a link though. Go ahead,
But yeah,
TB.
I just think like if a news article comes out from a very reputable source saying, you know, this person turned down the fight, and you know what I'm saying, and it's a turn down, then yeah, then I'll lean, maybe they're ducking that person because they don't feel as though they're either ready or they don't feel as though they can beat that person. When it's actually disclosed, hey, they turned down the fight. I tried to fight this person, and I was told by my management, this being the fighter talking, that they turned down the fight. They didn't want the fight. That to me, I'm like, okay, we can have a very good discussion about the legitimacy of a duck. But when it's injury, I mean, you don't know what the hell. Like, they could be faking, they could be, because the thing is, how can they put out injury, right? Like, why would the UFC specifically allow that fighter to walk away from the fight and the story be injury and it not be the case? Because what happens is now the UFC has to, all of a sudden try to find this replacement. Not that that's like the most daunting task for them, but still, it's like you would rather just have the people that you spent marketing dollars saying they were going to be at this fight to fight rather than try to find a replacement, right? So for them to go and say, okay, yeah, they pulled, like, I don't know. To me, it just makes more sense for if it's disclosed that it was an injury related thing, and then I know UFC doesn't necessarily go out of their way to say, oh, this person pulled out because of injury, and a lot of times fighters will say it. But what if the fighter says, oh, I'm injured, and then UFC like, we have no word of this? Then the fighter gonna look stupid. You know what I'm saying? So it is a risk. Like, if you all of a sudden say you're injured and you're on Instagram partying, it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
All
When
right.
it's injury, it's what's up?
Oh, hold on. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, Jean and we actually agree here. This is actually what I'm thinking here too. Like, I was just about to chime in with this, but he said it. Surprising, we agree. He said Moreau showed up to the fight she knew she would win. Rumors are that she did to what Agapova did last week in her fight. Yeah, I agree with that. They are training partners. Let's see if she'll fight anyone like Santos, Fierro, or Gatto. He said until that, she's highly suspicious. So again, that's a scenario that's there. Like, training partner, you know him inside out. Let me get that out the way. Then everything else, still kind of in question. So yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, it's speculation. One thing, it's like that. I don't know, man. I don't like the whole speculation thing. It's like, do we know what this person did? Like, if we have video evidence of a person doing something, other than that, it's like, it's speculation, dog. Like, I personally want to give a fighter the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, believe me, I do
Now,
too. Yeah, I always do too. But I mean, like, when you do that 14 times in a row or more, like, it's kind of like, what's going on? People are gonna ask what's going on. You have the right as a fight fan to say, why are you not showing up after 14 times? But if that's not your thing, if you don't have that, it's just like a job. When somebody calls out and comes up with every excuse in the book, I'm like, this person cannot be sick this many times. Maybe they shouldn't be here.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't be here. Like, you come up with a doctor note every time you come up with some type of note, but why are you not showing up? Like, not scared of work. Maybe you just don't like the job, or maybe you just want to get paid without working. But it's like, why are you not showing up? That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, you have a right to say, okay.
Like, 1 or 2 times is one thing. Like, even 3 to 4 times on a pullout.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But 14, I mean, that's gotta put some kind of doubt in your mind, 2Bs.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that it's like 100% she ain't ducked nobody. Like, that's not coming out my mouth. It's similar to the Casey situation. Everybody think it's like, I think Casey is the greatest thing on God's earth. But it's like, no, I'm just saying I'm personally impressed with what she's done so far. Like, take it for example, Francis Ngannou. I'm really hard on this guy because it's like he said one thing and did another, right? Now, you could argue, oh, Marina did the same thing. She said she's going to show up to this fight and then did another. But it's a different situation where it's like, okay, this person, it's like Francis, he said, I want to be active and I'm mad that I wasn't active. And then turn around and find every excuse in the book to not fight. Oh, I want to get paid more. Oh, I want to do this movie. Or I want to do this. Or, oh, why is my contract like this? Like everything in the book to not fight after you just complained about not being able to fight. Now, when I look at Marina Rose, I'm like, okay, man, she done got out of a whole bunch of fights, pulled out of a whole bunch of fights. Like, what's going on? What's going on? And I look at, I do a little internet search. Oh, there was an injury here. Oh, a visa issue here. And then when she finally opens her mouth, she's like, oh, now, like, look, I get what you're saying in regards to, oh, she showed up conveniently to fight someone that she was very familiar with her ability to dominate on the ground. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I'm not saying that there's not evidence in regards to her potentially trying to conveniently get out of fights. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying, let's slow our roll and see where she goes moving forward. We finally got her to show up. Let's see what she does now. That's it.
Oh yeah, that's where we were at. That's where I was at. That's where I've been at with it. But I'm just saying, like, we were going back to the backstory of it. It's just like, yeah, it is questionable though. A lot of that was
absolutely.
Like, yeah, that's why I said, like, it comes down to the job. Like, us at the job, as a lead, you can only take so many. You can only, take so many excuses from a person, and you over and over and over again. And then you're like, okay, what's up? You got something going on at home, or do you just want me to go ahead and fire you, or what? Like, that's what you kind of have to look at. So I'm just there with that. But when she showed up, I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad she's back. Believe me, I did the videos already. So I'm glad that she's back because she's showing some skills. But Stam was in the building. What's your take, Stam? I mean, you're speaking for you because I don't need help, Stamina. But go ahead, man.
Did you say Stamina?
Yes.
Yes, he did, bro.
Oh,
How you doing, Stamina? First off, let's start it off right. How you doing, Stamina?
Good evening, gentlemen. I hope your life is treating you all well.
Oh yeah, it's treating us well, but I gotta say, how you doing, Stamina? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm just here catching up with the homies, just living this fight fan life. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good.
Go ahead and chime in, Stamina. What you got, bro?
Man, Two Beast is just making too much sense. I don't understand how you're not in complete alignment with what he's saying, because that's just the reasonable and logical way to approach things, by not arriving at a conclusion, just looking for that which can be demonstrated and that which can be proven, rather than, oh, because it's been X amount of time or Y number of instances of something, it can only be Z outcome. Like,
No.
I don't like that. That's
No.
I don't like that. That's
No. I'm not there. Like, I'm not 100% agreeing with him, but I see where he's coming from. But at the same time, I know people, and I always keep that little X factor open, where people, like, nothing's 100% on either what we're saying. But I also know people, and I know situations where certain people can do certain things. So I'm just leaving that open as far as where I stand with it.
Right. But then in that sense, Tubi's is also saying that too, but there's still like quite a lot of wiggle room between the bulk and the actual meat of what he's saying versus what you, and particularly Mr. Johnson in his infinite wisdom,
I guess there would be less if it wasn't just so many pullouts. Like, if it was maybe 5, I would give a person that. You know me, I give a person credit all the time. I try to stay balanced. But when you start talking double digits, it's like, again, my window was still there for me. But still.
I mean, we're talking double digits in totality, but in terms of like a streak
consecutively,
I'm here on Tapology and I can see 4. I see 4 here. Between Mario Bueno Silva and Agapova, there are 4. DLR, Tyler, Fioro, and Luana Carolina. Then Agapova.
A lot of that is going to be a lot of repeats of the same fights. That's why I'm counting 2 as well. But Tapology ain't going to put it all in a row. But there's some other names that I remember she was supposed to fight.
So you're saying that she was rebooked to fight one of these fighters more than once?
Yeah, because I was about to do videos on it. Because I got sources. So, I was about to actually do some videos, and I actually had to delete them because she didn't.
It kind of would be in their interest for them to put them there, because they do them like according to the card that the fighters are meant to appear on. So if they're not going to fight on
Yeah,
the
they'll
same
do
card yet again,
consecutive.
they'd have to have another
Yeah, I don't know
entry
why
because
they
they're going to be on a
didn't.
newer card.
Yeah, I don't know why they did, but there's more. Like between what was the last fight? 2020? Between
Yes.
2020, let's say, okay, 2020 is probably like a good, I'd say a good 8 or 9. And then like there was some before that.
Well,
And
yeah, the ones before or whatever. Like this streak between Bueno Silva and Agapova are the only ones that are really relevant. I feel, because that's the only one that's really been like problematic, because yeah, there hasn't been a quote unquote streak prior to then, so you kind of got to afford them the same leeway as you would anyone else. It's, you know, because up until then there hasn't really been anything uncharacteristic or weird in and of itself. So the thing is, even within that, these 4 names that I see here, DLR, Santos, Fioro, cool, credible. Luana Carolina, though, like, come on now, don't piss me off. Like, who's going to duck her? Don't, no. Like,
Yeah,
I ain't trying to hear all that at all. Like, no one can look me in the eyes and tell me that.
not every single
Marina
one, like we
Moroz,
said, not every single one.
no, not every single one, but like, how are you gonna duck Dredd and fight Agapova instead? How is that easier?
Well, it go back to, let me put it this way. All right, well, if you're not ready for a fight, you could still wind up losing that fight. And a certain type of style can make you look bad. I know Luana Carolina got the best track record, and I'm just putting this out there. Like I said, there's different options here. Like sometimes you rather get knocked out than just look bad in a decision win. And sometimes a fighter like that might just have a bad style matchup for you.
No, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. However, another aspect for anyone to consider really is that, aside from the difference between, you know, neglecting or rejecting rather an offer of such and such an opponent even, to accept a fight with someone and then to later, for whatever reason, not turn up on fight night as agreed contractually, is itself problematic in the company's eyes. And depending on the extent to which they've, as to be said, pumped in their marketing dollars so as to let people know that that's happening, and all the other kind of whatever else that entails, you know, the company are going to take a dim view of money that they've spent that they now have no hope of retrieving, because that which they've been selling to people no longer exists. So whatever a fighter's motivation, whatever the truth or non-truth of whatever it is that they actually present as their reason for no longer doing what they contractually agreed to do, that comes with risk, because they might not get another opportunity to make good on that. So as much as it's embarrassing to have, you know, a bad style matchup or whatever else, all you have to do is at the very best give an account of yourself that keeps you in the running. But if the company decides that you're full of shit, that you're lying and whatever else, then they just cut you, and then you're just arse out, full stop. So the idea that someone would quite easily just choose to say, oh, I can't do it, and just make up some excuse, is kind of like just being very dismissive of what it is that makes someone become a fighter in the first place, and the actual machinations of getting themselves into a fight situation anyway, because there are more cons than pros to doing that, because the company is only going to give you a limited amount of rope within which to do that.
Right.
And the fact that the company themselves, for whatever we don't hear discussions go on behind closed doors and whatever, they haven't cut that fighter yet. So for all intents and purposes, the people today talking about this have more of a problem with Morose's behavior than the UFC do, because they haven't sacked her.
To add on to that, it's like, why even accept it? You could make up the lie prior to even accepting it, and then people thinking you duck. You could just simply say, I'm on vacation or I'm unavailable. All you have to do is say no. I mean, you don't have to necessarily disclose a reason. If you simply tell UFC, you're not ready to fight. They're not even going to offer you a fight to begin with. So you don't even have to refuse a fight in the first place and even be considered ducking at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it.
Absolutely.
Like for instance, if put different example, but if Valentina says she ain't ready to fight, she ain't fighting. Like she has that leeway. And then some other fighters will have the leeway to say, hey, I don't want to fight her, I'm not available, this, that, and the other. And they won't even be offered. Like it's not going to be a situation where, hey, you want to fight such and such, and then they contact the management of such and such, and then they tell them, hey, that fighter rejected this fight. We're going to try to get you someone else. No, you're not even going to be someone that gets called in the first place. If you just say I'm unavailable and I'm going to be unavailable to said time.
But I was thinking too, like, unfortunately, it being WMMA, it's like sometimes these fighters can go under the radar and skip out because it's not going to cost them as much because they don't want to attract as many fans. But there's also like probably I'm thinking like there might be something in their contract too. This is why I keep thinking it, because even on jobs, there's certain like windows you have where you can take a certain amount of time off and then go right back into what you need to do, and then let that reset. Then you can use that time off again, if that makes sense. We've seen people actually do things like that. So I was just putting that out there. I kind of thought something like that might be going on, where you have something in your contract where you can extend as much time as you need, but when you want to prolong it again, you'll show up and you'll go back on that again, or you'll get to that point where it's signed. And if you sign, then it's like a default, like, okay, that counts as that person was ready. And then they'll go right, oh, got to pull out again, go right back, like, cause like Dana said, these contracts are similar to just like work. So, I'm just trying to see these different options here. Cause like I said, I just know people.
What you're saying, I'm sorry.
Huh?
I'm not sure I follow what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think you will, man.
It sounded like you're talking about sick leave, but then it didn't. So I don't know.
Not like regular sick leave, but like certain types of disabilities I've seen people do before. But that's just where I was kind of looking at it, because I've seen people do it where they'll milk it to the end and let it reset
like
to
a
go
leave
right
of
back.
absence, like a LOA, leave of absence.
Right. You're right. Zama said Moreau signed with top management, which means they'll help her with cherry pick and protect her to the extent provide with excuses. It worked out for her at the end of the day. Wow.
I mean, you can say that about any management company. They're going to tell you, hey, this is probably a good fight for you. That's probably not a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it don't matter who you sign with.
Mm-hmm.
You can not be signed and still have a coach that tells you, hey, probably shouldn't fight. Like, I mean, I get it. It's like we want to prove that Moreau's not we. When I say we, I mean Jamin and a select few others is like, yo, she's ducking, da da da. But it's like, I don't know, man. We're all a bunch of folks who probably wouldn't get in the octagon. So it's like, I don't know, man. Who really knows what's like, going on? Like, my thing is this, man. It's speculation, dog. That's one thing I'm like an anti-fan of, is like, especially when it's in the negative. When it's in the positive, I'm like, yeah, hopefully. But when it's like we try to come down on a fighter and it's
disparaging, yeah, same.
And I'm just like, I'd rather give a benefit of doubt. Like I said, Francis Ngannou, I can't, because it's like you say one, like that's different. But when it's like we don't really know 100%, and you say one thing and you're now trying to start a new lead, like that's how I see it. You either had bad luck, or maybe you weren't so enthusiastic about participating in those fights, or put it like this. You got something that'll maybe put you out of training for like a week. And that's not necessarily a severe injury like a leg break or a ACL tear, but it's like a nagging type thing that'll maybe handicap your training ability for at least a week to 2 weeks. And you're like, look, I'm about to fight goddamn Manon Furo of all people, and now I got this handicap type injury that's going to delay my training for a week or two or something like that. I need to be as maybe in that situation, you're like, listen, I had this happen to my leg. I'm going to go into this fight already against someone who's a very dangerous opponent. Maybe I should take this way out in regards to, I could see something more like that. But just to say, oh, she ain't injured, she just trying to duck. Like, it's like, listen, these is trained killers. So if for whatever reason something happened, even if it's mild, and you think, like, for example, there's so many fighters, they'll go and they'll lose the fight, and then they'll come up with all these excuses. And it's like, you agreed to show up and fight that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, don't turn around now and say, oh, I wasn't 100%. My knee was fucked up. I got a concussion like 2 weeks out. Like, this was not a problem prior to you showing up to the fight, right? But now it's a problem after because you didn't win. And if you won the fight, oh man, I won it, and I wasn't even 100% that fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it goes both ways. So maybe there was a nagging thing, a small thing that happened, or obviously there was a couple times in there where the visa happened. Like, I'm just more half full based on these motherfuckers going out and potentially getting killed. Like, that potentially getting permanently injured. Like, we just seen an example with Michelle Watterson, right? Where she's got this severe type injury. It's like, it is a real, and that was in training, where people aren't trying to kill her. Seriously. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is a high risk. And if you assess the risk, and it's like, I'm fighting this person, it's not a championship, like what you call BJ pointed out with the Jessica point that I brought up. And this ain't a huge reward versus the risk. I'm gonna sit this one out. Maybe that's the case, but just to say, oh, I'm just ducking because just to be ducking, like, come on, man, you gotta be smart.
If you talk about the average fan, the average fan thinks that way, but I've already made that point to myself that it's probably coming down to certain things that just don't play in your favor. It has nothing to do with the fighter's heart. Like that's the point I make on my channels. I'm never questioning the fighter's heart, but this is a business, so that certain moves have to be made and certain moves got to be played out that's in your favor. Because at the end of the day, whenever this is all done, you walking away with this, with the busted, with the concussion, you walking away with the one eye, you know what I mean? So if she's doing certain things, yeah, it's considered a duck in the fans' eyes, and I understand how they see that because it puts another fight off, but there's still a situation that's even deeper. That's where I'm at with it. Like, that could be very much thing, like I said, the Manone thing, that could very much be it. Like, Manone is a dangerous opponent. You don't want to go in there with something not 100% or close to 100%.
But the high risk and the low reward thing, like choosing not to take a fight because of that, to me, is considered a duck.
But there's choosing not to take the fight, then there's accepting the fight, and then not going through with what you agreed. Those are different things. And I think they should be treated as different things as well. They need to be treated as different because they are different things.
Hang on for a bit. I gotta block Marcus. Marcus said, "Breaking news: we have a sick fight between Silvano Juarez and Leon Na, June 11th." He being funny. I mean, it's probably gonna be a good fight, but he
damn, they let her stay in. She must have signed a 3-fight deal or something, because 2 stoppages by the same move.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they ain't re-signed Caitlyn and they allowing her to stay around.
She might be writing out her contract. She might have one of those, 4 to 6 fight contracts. That's
why it's so confusing to me, man. Like, the way they do shit, I don't get it.
Okay, since you bring that up, 2 Beasts, I'm gonna give you the floor now. Go ahead and kind of fill everybody in on what you want to talk about here. We got enough people in here.
Okay, cool. So first off, I want to thank you for even letting me on, period. You know what I'm saying? Sincerely appreciate that. But talking on a lot of what, these topics that we have and this, that, and the other, ultimately as fans, right, we have 3, 4, 5 main issues that we'll talk about, and we say, man, listen, this would be awesome if it were different, or this would be awesome if we had a clear understanding of who won the fight. Whereas, like, perfect example, we just had the Miranda Miranda Macy Barber situation. We had a not nearly as close, but an unclear situation with the Marina Rodriguez and the Yan Xiaonan, where it's like people thought maybe she should have gotten the first 2 rounds versus the 3rd round, this, that, and the other. And this is a thing where it's like there's 3 main things that it affects. It affects the clarity, obviously, where we don't know for sure who won the fight. Like, we have an opinion based on what we think should have been and what we thought they were scoring the fight on, but the scoring goes left and right every single time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, other than clarity, is the consistency. At one point, we'll be clear, right? But then we won't be we won't have that same clarity 2 fights later on the card. It's like, and this will be the same ref that's in there, and it'll be a different stoppage than the other. Like, there's just so many different things that are constantly inconsistent. You know what I mean? And then ultimately what that does is it takes away from the 3rd thing, which is competitiveness. It's like we have fighters that are really good fighters out there that have a lot of talent, but I think a lot of times it gets hindered based on uncertainty. Like, will I be doing good enough by just laying on this person? Hey, listen, this is a fight. I'm really tired right now. This person's overwhelming me on the feet. Maybe, I don't know how they're judging it, but maybe if I can control this person on the ground for the next 2 minutes, I can steal this round and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And ultimately, it comes down to that inconsistency with how the fights are officiated. The other thing that's an issue, we have issues with pay, where it's like the guy that I get on all the time with Francis Ngannou saying, hey, we should be paid more. We have issues with a lot of different things in regards to who they believe should be getting paid this and this, that, and the other. And I believe that there's a definite solution to that the UFC and a lot of promotions aren't really doing to the best of their ability. And then the final thing that I really think a lot of people can't stand in regards to the fighters, or the fighters can't stand, essentially. We have fighters killing themselves on these weight cuts. I think it was BJ that just mentioned that Julian's cutting like a good 15, 20 pounds because she wants to be competitive. She wants to make sure that she's at the optimum weight class. And to me, it's just like, yo, how do we really know how these fighters would match up if they really fought someone where there is no clear-cut advantage? Like, they truly do weigh the same when they walk in that cage. What if? You know what I mean? And then other than that, I mean, me personally, I find my way around it, but how much are we paying UFC to gain access to these fights? And then not just UFC, a lot of different promotions, if you want to go into the boxing realm, you're paying like all this money, like $70+ if you get the ESPN bundle, you're talking $80 now to get access to 4 fight cards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Me personally,
sorry, cut you off. I can back you up on that because it's like, just to watch fights, there's a new app for every single card almost now. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you have to pay for apps for every single card, man.
It's like, yeah, man, like you got ESPN Plus, UFC Fight Pass exclusive, and then you got, you know, TV where it might cut off in the middle of that and then transfer to the app, or the one subscription, one debit card transaction, and then one platform. You feel what I'm saying? Like, there's just a lot of different things that are not being done right. So I say all that to say this, you know what I mean? Brief background on me is I'm someone who for quite a while has been pursuing financial freedom. And I've done my fair share of failing. I've done my fair share of research. And essentially, financial freedom is something that I will obtain. It just so happens that I found a way around the art of raising capital that you can apply to almost any business. And then ultimately, due to my fandom of MMA, I said, you know what, there's a lot of things that we as fans can't stand about the sport, and as well as fighters can't stand about the sport. Now, a majority of fighters, yeah, they don't like having to go through the weight cut. It sucks. There is some that like it, but they'd rather not do it. They'd rather have a consistent pay. They'd rather have a consistent way of judging fights. Ultimately, I've decided to take what I've learned in the art of raising capital and apply it to the MMA world to create something that is 100% different than every other promotion out there. I don't know if anybody has done their research, but the 10-point must system is not necessarily a must. That is just simply the UFC's default and a lot of other promotions' default in regards to how they officiate their fights, because it's just, that's what everybody else does. It's path of least resistance. I'm here to tell you that things like bare knuckle MMA, for example, if you think about it, a rule says that fighters have to wear gloves. By the mere existence of a bare knuckle MMA promotion, it's Game Bread FC. You know, I think they got sanctioned by Mississippi or something like that. But ultimately, that says one of, if not more, of the commissions are willing to allow people to put on MMA fights that have different rule sets. It's not that we can't, it's just that we're not. You know what I'm saying? UFC is not attempting to change it. UFC or Bellator is not attempting to change it. I'm here to tell you that I have a plan in regards to how we can actually seriously, I'm not just bullshitting, build a promotion that can not only, one, do all those things that I mentioned, give more clarity, give more consistency, and inevitably increase the competition level, but also address the pay. Make us fans not have to pay $75 to see a card. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I have a plan that will allow people to pay a fifth of that. And then the fighters right now, from what I've learned, 10 to 12K is the show for at the very low level for a UFC fighter to show up and fight. And then if they win, they can get up to 20 to 24K at bare minimum, right? I have a business model that will actually allow for them to get paid 4 to 5 times more than that, with the fans paying 4 to 5 times less than what they're paying. It's not that they can't do it. It's just they're choosing not to. Someone like Bruce Buffer is making a 7-figure salary when he himself is not risking his life on a daily basis in those training camps. But the fighter is making 10K that night. That's fucking insanity. That's factual. So it's like, all the flash and all the cameras and all this, that, and other, you take that away, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the fighters, you don't have a promotion, period. Bruce Buffer can stand out there and say, get ready, it ain't gonna matter. So long story short, I'm putting in the beginning steps of building my own promotion. And at the end of the day, those are the problems that I'm gonna address. And I have a very sophisticated way of doing it in the form of a rule set that's different, a strategy that's different, a business model that's different, where actual people like Combo and BJ and anyone else that has a promotion or has a YouTube channel can actually be compensated for what they do from the promotion. UFC ain't paying none of us for talking about these fighters, right? I want to change that. You feel what I'm saying? So that's ultimately what I wanted to talk about, and just give y'all a heads up, like, because I'm tired of it. Like, honestly, I'm just tired of us having to come on here and saying, oh, this person should have won, or damn, man, they ruined that person's, why'd they take that person's on a BS call? Like, why'd they stop that fight prematurely? Why is there no consistency? Why the fighters ain't getting paid enough? I want to put an end to that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I really just had to talk about. And if y'all want to chime in or whatever, feel free. If y'all have questions, this, that, and other. Within the next couple weeks, I'm going to start posting videos on my channel in regards to how I'm going to be doing things. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'll let y'all chime in, because you know me and Two Beats talked about it for a while behind the scenes. But what you thinking, BJ?
I mean, I'm not mad at that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you feel like you can, you know what I'm saying? If you feel like you can do it, bro, if you feel like it's in the realm of your possibility, bro, go for it. Like, go for it, bro. Like, absolutely. Like, you'll have my support 100%. You know what I'm saying? Just hire me. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, go for it. Like, for sure. But damn, hire me. every promotion needs a Chael Sonnen, so yeah, every promotion needs a Chael.
Yeah, man. But it's just, everybody thinks that UFC is unbeatable. Like, because I've learned so much about business. The reason why UFC doesn't really have any competition right now is because everybody is doing exactly what they're doing. Maybe they have like a hexagon or they have a circle, but it's still same old 10-point must system, same old weight classes. Who are you going to tune in to see, UFC or this lower income, lower popularity promotion over here? You're gonna watch UFC because it's what we've been defaulted to doing, and based off of the juggernaut of a marketing campaign that they put out there, that's the only one that's going to be talked about. It's the marketing, and then it's also the business model, and it's also you have to offer something different. And like I literally have a rule set that's also going to be implementing a software that helps with the officiating and this, that, and the other, where we're actually going to keep track of it's completely different from what's being done. And based off of the fact that Gamebred FC has put on fights, it's just like, and he announced that, so it's like, it's not like, he did it illegally. It's not that we can't have a MMA fight legitimately without this dumbass 10-point must system. It's just no one's doing it. That just needs to change, period.
You know what it is? Well, I can't tell you what it is definitively, but my opinion from this chair is that I feel like a lot of these promotions will continue to default to the 10-point must system as something of a carryover from boxing, just because it means that those that watch the combat, there's just less of a learning curve as to actually understanding what's going on and how they themselves, as appreciants of the combat, should understand what's going to happen even before it happens, that they themselves in real time can say, oh yeah, that guy won that fight because X, Y, and Z, whatever the criteria are. So therefore anything that deviates from that, because of how established within the public consciousness that whole model is, anything that deviates from that has more of a steeper learning curve as a result. So different is cool, but it also needs to be like efficient enough for the layperson to just catch on to it quickly. Otherwise, they'll be like, I don't get this, and then they'll just fail. That's just something to consider as well. People generally are very resistant to change. You know what I mean? As for MMA absolutely. To have been something that people didn't even get in the first instance anyway, because they thought it was barbaric, despite the scoring being the same and some of the principles being the same. Just the idea of the gloves being small and all of a sudden you're okay to like boot somebody in their face or elbow them across their jaw. It's like, oh, that's a bit barbaric, isn't it? Why is it? But over time, attitudes change. So the less things that you can present to people as different at once, the easier it is for them to adopt it. So different is cool, but too much different in one go and you'll lose people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's something to just bear in mind.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's something that I've definitely taken into consideration. And put it like this: when you think about basketball, right? I know basketball has its things with the refs calling foul that they, and people speculate about that, but ultimately, no one questions who officially won the game at the end of that game. One team had X amount of points. The other team had X amount of points. Whoever had higher won. How do you score points? There's literally 3 sets of point award situations that go on. You got 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points. 1 point, free throw line. 2 points, inside the 3-point line, or touching when you jump. Outside 3 when you jump, 3. Like real simple shit. I'm just saying, like, we can't take a simple 10-point must system, which there's only 6 strikes you could throw in boxing, And, you know, a little bit of a slight variation if you do throw in haymakers or wild looping punches. But ultimately, jab, cross, left uppercut, left hook, right hook. 6. MMA, there's 10 times that amount of things you could do to a person. Like, you're applying that same simple based system to something 10 times as complex. You're ultimately going to have a scenario where things are unclear. And what I've done is found a way to clear that up a little bit, to make it it's just a hell of a lot more simple. And I just feel like if ultimately it just takes people that are interested, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that, like, a lot of people have defaulted to all the different promotions simply because, you know, it's what's there and no one's trying to do anything different. But ultimately, the best businesses in the world, they do 2 things. They do something obviously that's really creative, and they, you know, that has a very interesting thing that, like, they're very interesting. But the main thing they do is they solve problems. Like, everybody tells a story, like, ultimately Uber, right? They solved a very simple problem. Like, damn, I hate getting around, da 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 da, blah blah blah. Everybody knows the Uber story. But at the end of the day, when you build a very simple product that solves very stressful issues for people, like these are people that are betting on these fights and losing money, not necessarily betting the best, most, you know, thing to do necessarily, but at the end of the day, you got people that might lose money over somebody judging a fight and they've never been in a fight themselves. You don't even have to fight one day in your life to be a judge. That's insanity to me. Because at the end of the day, when you are looking at something and you don't comprehend that particular move and you don't understand that that fighter is putting that fighter in danger, you just see it as someone on their back and you don't understand, oh, this triangle is about to happen. Like, that's a problem. It's a problem when you're not looking at the fight. There's literally evidence of that happening. That, you know, so that's just my thing, man. Like,
I'm going to push back ever so slightly on that. Ever so slightly. Fundamentally, I do agree, but I'd say it's less about actually having first-hand of experience of a fight and more just an understanding of fight scoring, because that's ultimately what it is. I believe that as much as a ex-fighter or a coach would in the short term make a better judge than somebody you just pull out of the audience on fight night, like, by virtue of them being a coach or being a fighter, their experiences will inform some biases of their own about what they will then value and score as well. Because, you know, the scoring principles are supposed to be as absolute and, you know, defined and unequivocal as possible. They're meant as unambiguous as possible, so that irrespective of your personal feelings on the matter, the literature states exactly what you're supposed to value and what you're supposed to ignore. And everything else is bollocks. Just like, if it's not X, then it's Y, and proceed. That's all it's meant to be. So
right.
It's ultimately only a thing of just like educating whomever the adjudicators are to do a better job. Like, you know,
right.
And then that's all.
But it just like you said, though, it is. I don't 100% blame the judges necessarily. It's maybe.
I definitely do.
I don't blame the judge. I blame the system more than I blame the judges, because at the end of the day, we've seen it. Someone's on top of someone. Oh man, they getting all that control time, but I don't know. Maybe they're gonna score the active fighter on the bottom. Maybe they're gonna. We shouldn't be saying maybe. We should say, hey, this person did X amount of stuff while they were on bottom. They did X amount of stuff while they're on top, blah, blah, blah. We know exactly what's going on. I mean, yeah, we do want to know.
That's the thing. Sorry to cut you, but the thing is that the literature does state that, though. But it's the differences between people's understanding of what the literature says. That's where the uncertainty comes from. The literature says what should be done if someone is actually lying on top of someone but not improving position or not applying ground and pound or not actually chasing submissions or whatever. There is wording that does state what's supposed to happen in that. But whether people actually apply that to where they put their 10 and they put their 9 at the end of the round, we don't know, because we don't know what they know. We know what the writing says, but we don't know what the people who will give out the scores, what they know of that writing. The problem is still with the individuals. The writing accounts for all of that.
Yeah,
Right.
James G here in the comment, I guess he gives a good example of what he's saying. He says, like, for example, he says, I value control over an accumulation of small shots.
To
I mean,
me,
I don't know whether I do or
positional
not.
dominance.
It's just what the rules say. I don't know whether I do or not. It's neither here nor there.
Positional dominance to me counts a lot. You know, if you're able to completely hold somebody down, like to where they can't really do anything but scoot their hip and shift their body weight, like, then yeah.
Well, I think the wording says that if nothing else happens, then yes, you have to give that some kind of like scoring and some value and whatever else. Absent other stuff, yeah. Actual strikes will always be valued higher than control according to the system.
right. So
whether it's just pitter patter stuff or significant, damage accruing strikes still are worth more than control.
when it comes down to it, though, and you make a great point, Stamina. They have in the literature that this is what's supposed to happen, but at the end of the day, we have a system where the judges don't have access to the live stats. Here's where that comes into a problem, because if the live stats are saying what's significant and what isn't, maybe the judge might think one is significant versus the other. But if they were all in sync, just by example, even if we want to keep the 10-point must system around, it still has its flaws in regards to the consistency that I was talking about. Because at the end of the day, like what Stamina said, if the literature is there, but there isn't, if the criteria is not being used how it's supposed to be used, and on top of that, there's no repercussion for failing to use it like you're supposed to use it, then ultimately it's like a gun that's sitting there. I mean, I don't know, maybe bad example, but it's just something that is a great tool to execute a particular task. But if you don't utilize it properly, that it's just as useless as anything else. We could make the rules barbaric as we want, but if the judge then decides to score it purely off of technical stuff, you feel what I'm saying? Either way you put it, at the end of the day, between the judges, between the system, there are fixable flaws that are being ignored and not addressed. And one of my biggest pet peeves.
And let me say this real quick, too, Beast. That kind of goes with the point what you're saying about the system, too. Like, the system is the problem, because, like, the literature might be fine, but it's like the people you have looking at it. Like, maybe you just need the system to have professional judges, like we said before, trainers and fighters and so on, being those judges that can understand those terms better than, some people just, doing it for the first or second time. Because, like, I think it was Coach Sheldon Harrison. He was saying when he read into it, it don't take much for these people to get into professional fights. Like couple of tests or whatever, something, crash course, and that's it. They can get right into it. So I think it just goes back to, like you were saying, it's the systems, just putting in seasoned people that understand what that stuff says, and then they can apply it better than just your average like Sal D'Amato, like they said in the comment section here,
Get rid of Sal D'Amato, we good. I can't even tell them apart, honestly. It's like I heard that name before. I've heard a couple other names, but ultimately, the fact that, like, I can understand being mad that your fighter lost, but we shouldn't be necessarily, not that, I mean, people have fun with it. It's fun to be like, nah, man, I think my fighter won. Right? My fighter, nah, that fighter's scrap over there. Nah, they can't hang with my fight. Whatever. Like, that's fine. But when we got people's literal paychecks being affected by this, because if you win, you get paid more. It's like, that's when it comes to a point where we really need to straighten up the people that are officiating, and not even just judges, but the stoppages. I mean, that's like, you got a 90% deviation on that, where I mean, it's crazy. Like, you got a fight that'll go on for 2+ minutes of a person getting their ass whooped, and then you got a fight that'll be stopped in 20 seconds or 2, or a minute 30. Like, it's all over the place. Now, not obviously fights are different. Every fight is different. But I'll tell you one thing. Guess what happens before every TKO stoppage almost? I'm going to give y'all a chance to guess that. What happens after almost 90% of every single leading up to every single TKO stoppage every time?
After
the referee, after or before?
Leading up to almost every single TKO stoppage.
The ref tells them to defend themselves.
That's one thing. I'm looking for something different though. It literally almost every TKO stuff.
The fighter reels back. I don't know. The fighter like goes on the back foot. You know, they shield up.
That's one component. Combo said one component is they shield up. What's the other component?
The referee starts to really look in close. What BJ said that, but
the fighter turns away, gives up.
More or less turn away, cover up. The other component I'm looking for is the rapidness of the strikes.
Yeah, okay.
Every single TKO, you look back at every TKO that ever happened over the course of 3 seconds, 5 seconds. There's a high volume of strikes that were absorbed in a very low amount of time period. We don't realize it because at the end of the day, it's like, oh man, come on, they gotta defend themselves. The ref steps in and they might say, protect yourself for improved position, but ultimately what it comes down to is the shots are being absorbed in a very rapid concession, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if we just simply put a number on that, man?
I thought of that before. Like, I thought of that. Like, the ref should at least say when the fighter takes maybe 5. I think I said in some post-fight analysis, like when the referee says, you know, he's gonna let the fight go on, but if it comes down to like 5 or 6 good unanswered blows, then you should stop it. You know what I mean?
It all comes down to 2 factors. What is, I'm gonna say fighter B is the fighter that's at risk of being stopped.
Okay.
Right? Fighter A is the opposing as attacker. So it comes down to 2 components. If we think about it, fighter B's positioning and their actions.
Okay.
On fighter A's side, their positioning also to an extent, but on top of that, how many strikes are they landing? How are they landing?
Right.
And
how hard are
at
they?
what frequency?
Yeah.
Every single time it comes down to that. Now, you'll have those rare moments where they'll hit a whole bunch and then there'll be a slight break and then they'll hit like one and then all of a sudden, like, there is those situations, but a majority of the time it's hammer fist, boom, 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 right at that rate, and then all of a sudden ref stops in.
Mm-hmm.
What it comes down to is, now in live time, obviously that's hard for a ref to count this, that, and other. What I'm suggesting is a software that helps with the officiating, bro. I mean, it's real simple, just like a scoreboard, man. Like, how many shots this person done took over the course of 3 seconds, 15, a minute, 30, like all that. And then you just simply have a maximum threshold that you're going to allow that to happen. And then the fighters know that shit. It's not like a guess. It's not like, you got to do something. Hey, fight back. Like all these vague, sometimes not. I'll give credit to the refs, but there's a lot of times where it's like the fighter doesn't even know. And then not to mention, they're also getting struck. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not the easiest situation to be listening to a ref all of a sudden who's going to have a different opinion from another one that you might have been in that same situation. Like, the lack of clarity, man. I'm telling you, if fighters knew I can only take 10 blows within 15 seconds, per example, I know that's a lot, but I'm just throwing out random numbers. If they knew, oh shit, I've been hit like maybe 5-7 times, I got to get out of here, or they're going to stop me. It just gives clarity to the fighters, which can ultimately improve the competition. Even on the attacking fighter's side, where they're like, yo, I know I got to hit this person X amount of times if I get to mount, blah, blah, blah. Just, it makes it easier for everyone participating, even the fucking ref that gets blasted on social media. Oh, why'd you stop that person so early? Or why'd you stop that person so late? Like, if we just had a little bit more clarity and consistency, we could solve all that issue.
I don't think I like that. I don't.
Yeah, I would think I know what you mean. There's a downside to it with the punches too, because like how would we really narrow it down to like the number of punches you take against a certain fighter? Like you'd really have to like be specific with the individual, because like 6-7 Chikagan punches might hit you, but you'll be good. But versus like 6-7 Andrade, we know that you probably won't even last that long with 6 or 7 hers. But
Well,
you
let's
know what
look
I
at
mean.
let's look at the standing, right? So
Okay.
significant strike. To me, my understanding of MMA, my goal is to get the ref to pull me off of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we think of it from that standpoint, what's going to get me closer to that? Obviously, the highest probable chance of me doing that, typically for an average MMA fighter, is to either mount them or get advantage of them over the strikes, start, hitting them, this, that, and whatever. But ultimately, mount is a good position, right? Or if we're just doing this pure standing, what's getting me closer to stopping this person? If the damage that I accrue on that person's face or the strikes that they're absorbing gets them to fall, to drop, to stumble, anything else, I mean, what does it matter? Like, yeah, I get it. Like a leg kick, money in the bank. I get, you know what I'm saying? But that leg kick that makes that person trip, that's pretty significant. Or if it makes their leg buckle, that's significant.
Right.
But if I hear the leg kick and that person doesn't fucking flinch, put it like this. You can have a poker face until you get dropped, right? At the end of the day, I don't know how much that punch affected you unless you drop or you stumble or the force of the blow makes your body like turn it like at a certain damn degree where I'm like, well, shit, that person must have got hit quite hard based on them being in a very balanced stance. They received that blow and they're no longer balanced. That's significant because it's getting me closer to knocking that person out or taking them down, or whatever I want to do to get the ref to pull me off of them. That's significant. Anything else, oh, well, I think that they're landing the cleaner shots or that. No, what did that person take any step back when they absorbed that shot? So it wasn't a significant blow because it wasn't significant enough for that motherfucker to take a step back or for them to fall or for them to stumble. If we're purely talking about my goal is to finish this fighter, yes, money in the bank. But how do we know whose punches are affecting who if nobody's reacting? Everybody's just got the poker face on and still marching forward. We can speculate on who punches harder, this, that, and the other based on their previous resumes, like in Andrade. We know she has power. But if somebody's walking through her shots, how significant are they to that particular fighter? They might be specifically significant just in general, but to that fighter, how do we know if they're not reacting? If you're able to not react, it's not significant because you don't have a choice to react when you get knocked out. You don't got a fucking choice. You can play tough all you want, but if your legs go out because you get your chin touched by the right person, it's lights out. I don't care how tough you are. So if you're capable of implementing a poker face and not flinching, not disrupting your movement whatsoever based on you absorbing that shot, even though it landed clean, how can we really prove that that person is just completely fucked up by that shot, aside from cuts and this, that, and the other? You feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, and I know Stamina, he's waiting, so go ahead, man.
I mean, if you got more to say, please land everything you got to say.
I wanted to go after you, Stamina. I got something, but I'll let you go first, Stamina.
Are you? But Beast, are you done? Like I don't feel like you landed. I feel like you had more.
No, it's all good. That's what I'm just getting at is if you're capable of telling the fans by your actions, this punch did not affect me, because there are plenty of situations where you can't do that. If your leg gets kicked out from under you, obviously you weren't capable of showing a poker face, or you didn't check that kick, or it was good enough to get a very visible react. I mean, if someone's head snaps back by a jab, but they keep coming forward, that fighter does not care about that shot. Maybe they do, but it's not stopping them. Maybe it will over time, but that's a maybe. Significant strike.
My question though is, will we still count those as points though? I mean, will we still count?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But it's just like, I don't know if it's significant because I don't know that person. Like, I don't know the pain they're feeling. I don't know how wobbly they are unless I physically see it.
I say it's significant as in the point of you scoring. Like, if we're still going to cards, if you can't stop somebody, it still holds significance for the person landing it, because that's what martial arts is too. Like, the knockout comes, it comes, submission comes, it comes, but it's still about outwitting your opponent, outskilling them, and out technique. Like, if I can land a pretty right hand on somebody and they may not react to it, I still should get something for that or feel some way because I exposed their defense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I've differentiated, like, just full disclosure, like, the whole entire rule set of the promotion has already been drafted in regards to what's a significant strike, what's a takedown, what's a grounded fighter, what's illegal strikes, points, this, like, every single point. The only specifics that haven't been laid out are regards to the absorption amount, in regards to how much fighters can take. There's also time limits on certain things, and that I cannot put into the system until data has been reviewed from other fights. So what I'm essentially going to do is review data from a variety of different fights down to the actual timing, and actually have numbers to present to the commission, to every, you know what I'm saying, so that there can be a clear understanding. Hey, on average, now that I come to think of it, a lot of these refs do stop the fight after the XYZ. You feel what I'm saying? So I'll have actual evidence to present to them. And that's why I didn't feel it. But ultimately, the method in which everything is scored and everything is officiated, the weight classes, I mean, everything has already been drafted. It's just a matter of putting in the official numbers and the data that's going to be presented to the commission. So that's where it's at. Like, I've addressed significant strikes and all that. I can't, publish it now due to the fact of, intellectual property issues and this, that, and other. But it is drafted and all those things have been addressed. I can only talk about them vaguely now, but ultimately, it is something that has already been thought of, essentially.
Okay. All right, man. Sounds good, man. Any questions from y'all as far as, or any other thoughts about what you got going, man?
I mean, for me, I almost feel like you're actually kind of like removing nuance somewhat from everything that actually goes on within a cage or an octagon or whatever, to some extent. I also feel like you're kind of conflating a few things together that aren't actually the same thing. Let me try and quantify that a bit better. Like, I'm personally reluctant to kind of like apply arbitrary numbers or values or to anything really, just on account of the multitude, almost infinite different ways in which a fight can be won or lost. I kind of feel like the more kind of like absolutes and hard ceilings or limits that are imposed upon something that is so freeform can be somewhat counterintuitive towards actually getting satisfactory kind of outcomes to them. I feel like whether that number of unanswered shots is 3 or is 5 or is 10, just the multitude of different strikes that can be landed and by whom and upon whom. There are just so many different things you can swap out, and all things are not created equal. Like, this is why when we see the whole kind of like semi lay and pray kind of like against the fence type scenarios in like the last 30 odd seconds of a round and whatever. This is why, even if the fighter has like no realistic submission that they could endeavor to start working on with the clock ticking down and whatnot, that's why they do those stupid little rabbit punches into the kidneys and stuff like that, just to score. They know full well that's not going to hurt anyone. They're just running up the numbers. That's all they're doing. But that's how the system works. The judges, forget the judges. The referees already have kind of like
now
training.
Sorry to cut you off, Stan, but there are certain situations. I talk to fighters now. The kidney punches aren't necessarily to score. It's to hurt your opponent, like really do damage to wear him down. Like when they tie up, sometimes they're throwing like little nasty, dirty shots, just like the rabbit punches. They're not to like score with the judges. They're to like do damage to you for their sake.
Oh yeah, you can see the intensity of them in real time. You kind of know what the motives are as you see them. Like you know what's what.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that all of them are any one thing. I wouldn't be that discourteous, but yeah, sure. Now, the refs, from the little that I'll see someone like like Big John or Mark Goddard, or to a lesser extent Jason Herzog, because he doesn't talk that much about his job, but from what those guys talk about, the input that they'll have when questions are asked of them on Twitter or whatever, they've got things that they look for with regard to strikes, particularly like unanswered ones, because for example, I believe they made the distinction that like a what was the exact wording now? Because I don't want to paraphrase this and get this wrong. Actually, no, I'm swerve that. I'll come back to it if I remember it. But never mind. Like, if say a fighter getting dropped, for example, the difference between them, falling straight down, as in like from 12 to 6, like onto their knees or whatever, versus falling backwards onto their butt or onto their back, onto their head, falling forward onto their face. Like all of those things are have differing kind of like severity in terms of how close the referees are to actually like getting in between the fighters and whatnot, and checking like which direction their eyes are going in as they fall, whether their eyes are open or not, whether when they're taking ground and pound on the mat, if they're actually like holding their head up versus if their head is actually hitting the canvas, things like that are differing things that they'll look for in real time as to whether they're going to jump in or not, as to whether they're literally just shelling up and their eyes are shut, or they're not actually making an attempt to, as we've heard so many times, intelligently defend themselves. Yada 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 yada. Excuse me.
Right.
So all of those things are in place already. And my concern is that adding anything. Wow. Am I echoing for anyone else or just me?
It was the mic like echoing, like your voice would be one level and then the echo would be at a much higher level.
Yeah, I was noticing that too. I don't know what.
Oh, my fault. It was on BJ's side. I was echoing.
Why am I not surprised?
It because he kept echoing. You go ahead, Steven. Sorry.
So yeah, I would be concerned as to have anything supplementary to that isn't actually to do with the official that's already there, like a secondary kind of like auxiliary kind of thing, perhaps, maybe, but cameras and their understanding and perception of depth in 3 dimensions is inherently kind of like flawed anyway. There are like literal limits within physics as to what they can actually perceive, and I wouldn't necessarily be confident in any kind of electronic medium's capacity for discerning what constitutes a strike more so than a human, because a human knows exactly what that is, sort of thing. You know,
You're absolutely right.
like even, you know, you were saying earlier how, you know, the judges don't have access to live stats. Now, I would never found out one way or the other whether that's something that they're literally not allowed to have or whether it's something that they're just not given. I don't know one way or the other with that, but what I do know is that whether either of those whichever answer actually is the true one, ultimately, you know, that which constitutes a strike, that which constitutes a significant strike, as to arrive at those numbers that are put up on the screen anyway, those numbers are all done by humans anyway. They're not done by machines because they can't be. So whether these judges have those numbers or not, it's still human interpretation giving information to other humans. So I don't know how beneficial that is or not for them to have one way or the other, because
Hey
we're
guys,
still talking
real
about
quick,
humans and their interpretation.
real quick. I got to split, guys, because y'all talking. Like, y'all talking.
That's what adults do, BJ.
Yeah. No, for real. I got to go, though. I got some things to do. But yes, good conversation. I'm still going to be listening, but I got to split from the chat. I got to do some things
Sure,
on my
BJ.
phone.
Well, you know, we'll
Okay.
catch you on the next one, man.
Yes, sir.
Take care of
Peace
yourself,
out, man.
brother.
Peace out.
Peace. Now, Stam, you brought up amazing points. I'm glad you did. I'll start from the first one, where you're talking about how the ref has to discern different things in live time, like eyes rolling back, like how does a person fall?
Mm-hmm.
These are things that I've laid out. I've got some, you know, abbreviations and nicknames and names and this, that, and the other for all the different types or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, what I've done is just what you mentioned, right? You said people fall differently. How did that person fall? Did they fall and did they try to brace their fall? Or did they fall and their arms go limp? Did they fall and their eyes roll back? Like all these different things I've laid out, and I said, listen, if you have this situation, how many strikes led up to that? How many, you know what I'm saying, significant strikes led up to that? How many times were they dropped prior to that? Now, granted, a referee in live time, they got a lot of things they got to think of. But when you have a computer has X amount of things that it could do at the same time, and it has its limitations. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be stressed. It's just going to take the data that it's given, process it, and put something out there. Here's why I say that. The ref ain't going to be like, okay, let me carry the one. Okay, this person took X amount of. No, I'm not saying like the ref is going to arbitrarily like count random number. Like, no, what I'm saying is we're going to look at data and assess it and say, typically, how many strikes does a person absorb before they stop it? But we're not just looking at the numbers of strikes. We're also looking at the posture of the fighter. We're looking at what happened to the fighter prior to them being on their back. We're looking at, okay, how long has this fight even gone on? You feel what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of different things that if a computer took into place based off of actual data that we have. MMA's been around for many years. We have a lot of data that we can study and say, hey, listen, when we first put these rules together with the 10-point must system, like, yo, we didn't have all this knowledge that we have now. But it's like we have all this knowledge, but we've neglected to do anything with it. We have stats out the ass from UFC about, you know what I'm saying? We have footage. We can literally play back all these different fights and say, okay, damn, this person ate 100 shots before the ref finally stepped it. Or this person only took 5 significant strikes, dropped, and then he only hit him with 2 hammer fists after that, and then the ref pulled him off. Like, and we can also analyze the posture of the fighter. And we can classify it into different, it's just like if you take a fingerprint, all that computer's going to do is take a whole bunch of different data points and assess and say, okay, this is the fingerprint of 2 beasts. You feel what I'm saying? Same scenario where it's like you take a variety of different data points where you say, how is the fighter's eyes? How is the fighter's this? What was his posture? What was the fighter doing in regards to offense returned? You feel me? No, we can't necessarily have a ref deduce all of that in live time. But I guarantee you, with the help of software, he could. If, like, here's the thing: the ref has a vantage point of the fighters where he can tell if they're getting hit, this, that, and the other. Why not have the ref help with stats? Why not do something like that? I mean, it may seem crazy, but the ref literally has the best vantage point as to whether a strike is landed. All I'm saying is, it's not necessarily I hear you when you say humans are essentially telling data to other humans, but what's happening is we don't have any clear cut we say, oh, the fighter has to be defending themselves. The fighter has to be intelligently defending. What does that mean? Okay, it means this, that, and other, but okay, that's so subjective. That's the problem. We have a lot of subjectivity within the fight game. I want it to be objective, where it's like, hey, this person was at the 3-point line, they shot it, it went in the hoop, that's 3 points. Real simple. Not this, you know what, I think that person landed the better shots towards the beginning of the round, and then towards the end, this person got a takedown, and I don't know, it wasn't that effective of a take. Like, there's too much subjectivity.
No,
when we could really nail it down.
I have to jump in right there. I have to, because that straight away, that's what I'm talking about with the conflation of different things. Because that which you just said just there within those last 10 seconds before I jumped in, that's judging stuff. That's nothing to do with the ref. That's not his job. Like, that's not his job at all. That the referee's thing is purely fighter well-being. Like, it's nothing to do with point scoring. It's nothing.
It goes into that.
No, the ref doesn't care about scoring. That's not his job at all.
Here's the thing, though, Stamina. I'm not saying that he's caring about the scoring. The scoring in light goes in line with protecting the fighters. If this motherfucker over here is scoring a shitload of points based on him beating the shit out of this other person, if we can track that, we know, hey, we need the ref to step in because of the amount of scoring that is going on this one particular fighter's end. You feel what I'm saying?
I get it, but like, that's the arbitrary thing that I'm talking about. I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all number that you can just apply to fights in general, that every pair of combatants from then on must conform to those numbers, because fights don't conform to numbers ever. Like, the referee, being a human, attending to the movements and reactions and physiological signals of other humans, have to discern in real time how these people are responding to each other and of their own volition. They just have to do that. Like,
right.
the actual competency and validity of whatever stats could be supplemented to that, you know, if the referee isn't using them in real time, then they're not useful. And if he is using them in real time, then he's not actually watching the fighters anymore. So it's kind of like, better the devil you don't type thing. You know, it's nah. It doesn't work for me, because, you know, it is just a thing about, you know, some fighter A smacks fighter B in the face. Fighter B has an amazing poker face, but now it's a thing where all of a sudden their stance is just ever so slightly more upright, because, you know, their balance is slightly off kilter now. They haven't really got their feet underneath them in the same way. Like, a camera that is trained on that fighter, which will also likely have to be moved by a human, or would have some very like good kind of like tracking algorithms in order to follow a person around in 3 dimensions and yada yada yada. You know, their behavior and their patterns and their movement are going to give variable results to this algorithm, depending on how tall that fighter is, to their actual like bodily dimensions, to their gait, to even their complexion, and how they even show up on the device is going to matter. There are just so many variables that will confound that system before it becomes reliable, that I don't like it. Like, I wouldn't want to entrust the fighter's well-being to a device that doesn't know what humans are, let alone what a fight is. It's, you know, and even the algorithms has to be programmed by humans too. There's just so many stumbling blocks for that, before it's actually going to be worth its weight. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I get where you're coming from, right? And I want to ask you something real quick.
Go,
so there's three or four different things you could be doing on the ground, more or less, that all fall under the same category. You can be submissive, right? And by submissive, I mean you're covering up, you lack movement, and you lack a motivation to continue fighting. This can be discerned by a ref. This can be discerned by someone watching the fight, correct? Okay. There's also a second thing that you could be doing. You could be fishing for submissions. You could also be, I don't know, trying to control a person's posture by securing their arms or by trying to grab hold of their torso to pull your head towards them so that it makes it harder for you. There's a variety of things you could be doing while you're on the mat, but it comes down to a select few categories. Either you're very submissive and you have no control over the situation and you're getting overwhelmed, or you could be getting slightly overwhelmed, but you're moving. You're constantly, you're not stationary waiting for someone to save you, so to speak. And then there's also, you're actually attacking the person that's on top of you, where you're striking them, or you're fishing for submissions, or you're trying sweeps. You're trying to actually oppose your opponent, right? It really only comes down to those simple categories of, hey, am I submissive or am I trying? You feel what I'm saying? And then we say, hey, listen, there's limits for both. If you're submissive, yeah, we're going to get you out of there in a relatively quick amount of time. However, also, if you're trying, we got to limit that too, because at the end of the day, we got to save the fighter from themselves. That has to happen. You know, some fighters, they'll go until they're permanently, brain damaged if you let them. It is what it is. We have to stop that from happening. But what I'm saying is, I get where you're coming from, where there's a lot of different variables, but a lot of these variables that you're mentioning can be categorized. If you can categorize the variables, you can then apply limitations to those categories. That's all I'm saying. And at the end of the day, yes, it's hard to, in live time, just to discern a lot of things from different camera angles, this, that, and the other. But here's what I know. There are fights that have not been stopped when a person is knocked down, right? The person gets knocked down multiple times and the fight doesn't get stopped. But little example, Julian Robertson against Macy Barber. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was she dropped prior to getting stopped?
BJ's the only one who could answer that. I don't remember the fight that vividly.
What was that question again?
Was she ever knocked down prior to her getting stopped in that fight by Macy Barber?
I don't think she was. She was just hurt, but she was never down.
Right. So we have a situation there where a fighter was not hurt enough to be knocked off their feet. Now, I know Stamina is like, yo, about to jump in. Before you jump in, just let me
firmly in my mouth, brother. Please continue.
But essentially, yes, a fighter can be severely hurt and not necessarily be off of their feet. But what I'm getting at is, if you have not only the awareness, not only the strength, and the cognitive, like the ability to stand versus getting knocked down, what do you think? Like, what do you think is more damaging? Getting knocked down to where you're so hurt you cannot stand up. I'm not saying everything should just go so barbaric to where, oh, this fighter can't even breathe. No, I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, when we allow a fight to continue after a person has been hurt so bad that they could no longer stand in that moment, justification of a stoppage while a person is standing, I mean, it really comes down to, is the fighter submissive? Is the fighter able to defend themselves? What are they doing? Even though I don't necessarily agree with a standing stoppage, at the end of the day, I do say, listen, it does depend on. Say again.
I have to agree with some standing stoppages.
Yeah, well, put it like this: if someone's curled up in a fetal position, not facing the opponent, or if they verbally say, "Get him off me," yeah, absolutely, stop the fight. Or if a cornerman stops it for them, or if simply, like, put it like this: the Chris Matinho fight. If a person is standing and they're marching, like, even the Ronda Rousey one, I know people will say, like, yeah, she was done, whatever, but she didn't even get knocked down.
Sometimes you're really going into something about, you're really just going into something neurological at that point, because
Right.
somebody's brain is not gonna react the same. Because I've seen some guys have shaky chins, they can get dropped
Hmm.
and get right back up and they're fine, versus somebody like a boxer who died like 10 years ago named Evander Johnson. He just stayed in there, took punishment. Granted, he did get dropped a couple times in the fight, but it was so bad that the accumulation killed him, took his life. Rest in peace. So, like, there has to be points, like going back to what Stamina said, the referee's job is mainly looking out for the fighter's well-being, so
Hmm.
it's going to be his decision and the fighter's decision, but sometimes the warrior's heart is going to keep them longer in there than they need to be. So the referee's going to say, you're trying to take too much punishment, you're done, I make that choice for you. You know what I mean? It's just
Absolutely.
it's like having a guardian angel in there. You're going to go out and drink, you had one too many, but no, that guardian angel, sometimes he'll speak up and say, he'll give you some signs and say, no, you had too much. So it's going to keep you back from doing what you shouldn't be doing sometimes,
And with that, it's like, I might be the fan who's like, man, let him go out in the shield, but that's the perfect reason why this system would work, because it's like, even though I as the fan don't agree with it, you put a threshold in, even though that person's standing, even though they're like, why'd you stop that fight? Because they're standing. This is the reason I brought this up. Why don't we have a set limit, man, or set things? Like, I know there's variables, like Stamina said, but the thing is, if a ref can identify this, right, they can identify the different parts of a fight where this person is displaying these different types of things. We label those, we categorize them, and we say, listen, when we have these things happening, let's have at least an average, or at least a range that the ref can specifically work with, that the fighters can be aware of. Right now, it's just a matter of, I don't know, I was just, I was trying to look out for you. You looked out of it. But it's like, no. And then the fighter's like, no, I was still perfectly, like, instead of it being so vague as to, because we can all admit there's been early stoppages, there have been late stoppages.
Mm-hmm.
We can get to a point where things are more consistent. It just takes a matter of categorizing every different scenario, looking at data, man. That's all it takes, man. I know that, Stamina, you're like, the variables are too much, but at the end of the day, averages exist regardless of whether you think they should be arbitrarily applied to anything, whatever. They still exist. And when you look at that data, you say, the average is this. And then you officiate a couple fights like that. And you're like, well, damn, man, this does play out. But the thing is, you can always adjust as the data comes in. Like, you say, okay, we're going to set it at this average amount. This is how much damage a fighter should take before the referee has to step in. And then you apply that average and you say, how has this worked? How has the fighters responded to this? How have the fights been officiated? Are the fighters complaining about the stoppages? Are other fans complaining about the stoppages? Then you test it out. And then from there, you say, okay, after testing this, we found that, hey, the average is either staying the same, it went up, or it went down, whatever. But just to keep doing it at a random, not random is a harsh word, but an inconsistent method, you feel what I'm saying, to where we still have quite a high percentage of things that people are arguing about. I mean, the only thing we should be arguing about is who our favorite fighter is. We shouldn't necessarily be arguing about a person not getting their bread because they got screwed. We shouldn't. That shouldn't be happening, especially this high of a frequency. I mean, it's like every other week nowadays, people getting screwed out of fights. This is crazy. So I'm just saying, listen, look at the data, try something. You know what I'm saying? And see how it goes. But it's like,
sorry, I'm doing it again.
Go ahead.
The thing with that is, like, I still don't like that insofar as, like, if I'm a fighter, I've got Mr. Man across the cage from me, and I need to separate that guy from his senses. Failing that, I need to be seen to be more dominant than him over 15 or 25 minutes. Yeah? The one thing that I'm really not trying to hear from the third man in the cage, from the three brothers that are on some table by the side of the cage that might be on their phones or not, or from the manager of the organization or whatever, is that my competition with Mr. Man across the cage from me was in any way influenced by stuff that happened with fights that I was not in. You can't tell me that I won or lost my fight based on punishment that other people that are not me took. You can't tell me that. I don't give a damn if 100 men before me took 10 punches in the face and fell down, so therefore now the number is 10. I took those 10 punches and I'm still standing. What? You can't tell me you stopped my fight because of what happened before. Don't you ever do that to me.
That's
Never.
Exactly what I said, though. That's exactly what I pointed out, though, Stan. I said, listen, it's not the same for everybody. I mentioned the poker face thing, right? If you take those 10 punches and you are not necessarily showing me any sense of I'm stumbling or I'm falling, why? But at the same time, we can say there is a limit in regards to, listen, you have, as a competitor, right? If you're like, they have like a rule, and like, I can't think of the sport, but there's a certain threshold at which you can be at a point beaten by to where they're like, they're just going to stop it anyway. I can't think of the sport, but it's like, help me if you can, someone, but there is a domination rule type thing that applies to like another sport where it's like, at some point, it's like, they're going to, come on, man, we know you're not going to win this kind of thing, where it's like, you're not necessarily stopping you because we don't think you're tough enough, but you have to show some sort of, like, for example, if you're scoring like 100 points per like minute in this fight based on some, scoring, whatever, and then this person's still at 0 after 3, 4, 5 minutes of standing, there's a threshold, bro.
Then there's a deficit that can't be made up. No, I get that. I get that, and I do get that. But that's kind of not what I'm saying either. It's I know what you're saying. It's like, you can't judge me off of them. I get that. Well, it's either it's a limit or it's a guideline. Like, it's got to be one or the other. Because if it's an actual limit and it's something that is understood as is the ceiling on the way into the fight, then my fight has a potential guaranteed outcome irrespective of how those numbers were actually applied to me. That's what I don't like. If it's a limit, then that's problematic, because that number 10 can be reached whether it's affected me visibly deleteriously or not. If it's a guideline, which the referees already have, then it's still that person's judgment to be like, yeah, okay, he's taken 10, but he's still responding. Like, the reason why they're there is that because, they are in real time assessing my comportment, my behavior as a fighter from minute 1, from second 1 of that fight, before any blows are thrown. And then they're watching my decline due to fatigue, due to damage, due to, water loss and every other thing that happens, blood loss, everything else that happens in a fight. So the referee's job is to see how my actual kind of like demeanor changes from minute to minute within the fight, as to assess my ability to continue. There are no numbers for that, because they don't have a number that I started at in second 1 of round 1 versus minute 3 of round 3. They don't have numbers for those. They just have to assess how I actually move and how I carry myself, as to be like, nah, he's hunched over now. His hands were by his chin and now they're by his chest. He's tired. You know what I mean? So now he's getting hit more. And so that's what the referee's job is to do. And that's what their training and their guidelines specify that they are to look for. And, you know, for a machine, never mind another human that hasn't been trained or has been, to ultimately recognize that, introduces more errors than it's going to solve.
Well, it's not recognizing, oh, this person. What I'm getting at is not necessarily the machine deducing every little thing. What I'm saying is, based on what the ref is seeing, we take that and we analyze what that person's seeing. And we say, hey, listen, we're going to determine on average. There is going to be suggestions. There's not everything's going to be a set limit. Every single thing is going to be based on a lot of different variables, not just one number applying to one particular fighter. No, there's actions by the fighter. There's how many shots have that person thrown in the last X amount of time? How many shots have they absorbed? You feel what I'm saying? It's not just, oh, this person takes 10 shots and then that's it. There's a lot of different things. Like, I know specifically that there's a lot of different things that play into it. That's why it took so much time to write this out. This took months of writing this and analyzing all different types, asking every single question in the book. I'm like, okay, what happens to beasts if, you know, this person's in this position? Or what if they're in half of an arm, but like all these different variables? Like, it's not like I'm just saying apply a number to that, and then this is something that has been thought out. It's not like just, okay, we're going to apply this number and that's it. There's like you said, and you're absolutely right, there's a lot of different variables that have to be taken account of and have to be sought out in real time. But what I'm saying is, we can't, like, think of it like this. When you look at cancer and you look at different diseases, yeah, everybody's different, but they have a lot of different data to where they can assess who has higher risk, who has lower risk. You feel what I'm saying? It's not like it's impossible. I would rate certain diseases much more complex than fighting. And we're able to do it with that. Why can't we do it with fighting? Now, granted, I get it. It's not lifetime. But what I'm saying is, the data can be analyzed and we can come up with a clearer. I'm not even saying that this is going to be perfect. I'm just saying, if UFC is 100 points in regards to freaking their effectiveness, I want to be at least maybe 200-300. I don't want to necessarily, I know I can't be perfect. There's no perfect system anywhere. What I'm just saying is an improvement in our clarity and our consistency. You know what I'm saying? There's going to still be errors, just like you talked about, but we can always adjust. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be a set thing. Once we analyze data, we can adjust. There's always an adjustment that can be made. Hell, they're already doing that. They're already talking about every single other week, you got a freaking discussion of what's a grounded fighter and what isn't. They're already doing what I wish they would do in another area, which is the scoring system. You feel what I'm saying? Make adjustments to that. But, you know. But I see what you're saying, man.
The grounded fighter thing is because, well, is in large part due to the quote-unquote unified rules not being unified and differing states, you know, allowing for variables in what they choose to go forward with on fight night, which is the most counterintuitive thing I've ever fucking heard. Like, there should just be one, like, everywhere. But the fact that there isn't is testament to the nonsense and the inefficiency of the system that you talk about. I'm feeling in a broader sense that of all the things that I, as a fight fan, and that we as a fight community tend to have gripes with minorly or majorly about the efficiency of the system that we find our entertainment within, I don't necessarily feel like the refereeing, I feel like the refereeing is probably like the least of those. I think the scoring and, you know, the judging and fighter pay and all those other things are significantly more valid and more important or more pressing matters than the decisions that referees make. You know, whether fights get stopped early or late, like I will take an early stoppage every single fight, every single week, if I knew that all those motherfuckers were getting more money, and you know that when the fights weren't stopped, that the judges knew what the fuck they were doing. I will take early stoppages all day long if all those other things can be fixed. Like, you know, so you know, that which the referees are doing or not doing is the least of my concerns, all things considered. All other things being equal, the referees are more competent than pretty much everyone else. And that's why there are so few of them, because there are only a few of them that actually can do it to the standard that's necessary. That's why you see the said guys who we see on the UFC cards also doing the KSWs and the LFAs and the PFLs and whatever, because there's just not that many of them. Because there's really not that many people who care about it enough as to study to the extent that they need to for the financial return that doing that job actually affords them. You kind of need to be in love with the fight game anyway in order to do something like that. No one goes through school and is like, oh yeah, I want to ref an MMA fight. That's what I want to do for a living. No one says that. You know what I mean? Right. So, you know, we have what we have because of how niche and how fringe it is anyway. Like all things considered, the judging thing is a lot more suspect because the barrier of entry to that is a lot lower and the criteria are a lot more scant. There's just less of it. You know what I mean? That absolutely needs looking at. But that's again like a training thing rather than like a systemic thing. The system that is in place with the UFC, Bellator, PFL or whatever could obviously do with optimization. No question. But I would like to see some of those optimizations before calling for an overhaul, you know?
But that's the thing though, man. Just like that last statement, you would like to see optimizations with the current system before we do an overhaul, a complete change of everything. But obviously, I mean, we 20 years in, like they still have not, these judges aren't, and I know, like I talked about the ref and this, that, and the other, it's not necessarily me getting on the ref. I will not get on the ref. At the end of the day, that ref is following whatever orders from that system, right? It's not the ref, it's not the judge's fault per se. It's the system allowing for a judge that comes in based on X amount of criteria that doesn't know what they're doing. Hey, I passed the test, so let me go judge. And then they go judge based on the system. The system is the issue based on the lack of training, based on, you know, the lack of clarity. Like, and just like you said, they're not willing to optimize what they currently have. If they were willing to optimize it, I mean, Dana White, fighters, fans, everyone's complained about it for years, but they ain't changed it. You feel?
Dude,
well,
you know what? They have. You know what would improve things immediately, and literally doesn't even require any additional effort. Those three motherfuckers that are sat cage side, kick them out of their chairs and put some of the other referees there instead. Because referees will know how to score fucking fights.
Yeah, I agree with that. That would make so much sense.
Just do that.
The referees that are like during their off, you know, when
when they're not in the cage, just put them a cage side and just make them score the fucking fights. They know what to look for.
Yeah.
Do that. Job done.
I mean, they could do that, but like you said, the thing is, it's like the horse in the water shit, man. You can lead. The fans could try to lead the commissions and the UFC and everybody to try to push for a change, but if they ain't willing to do it, you gotta have someone that goes out like a BKFC or like a Gamebred FC and say, look, we want to do something different. And then, you know, they do whatever they sign off on or whatever, and it is what it is. But the only difference is those platforms don't have the same business model. They don't have a system that's 100% different. It's still the 10-point must system. And as long as it's still the 10-point must system, as much as all the key points you pointed out, Stamina, is that it does have a lot of written criteria as to what fighters should be doing, what should be scoring. At this end of the day, we've had a whole bunch of different judges come through, and we still have fights not being scored properly. So either it's the judges or it's the system. We've had a lot of changes in judges, but we haven't had a lot of changes in system, aside from, you know, grounded fighter and this, that, and other. So I'm more leaning towards blaming the system rather than the judges, because that has changed the least amount. We changed grounded fighter. We changed, they did open scoring. That's a significant change. And I think that's in Kentucky. No, it's but anyways, it regardless, the thing is, the least amount of change, in my opinion, the least thing that we swap out the most is the system. The judges, we've had several of them, but we still are having the same problem. So to me, it's just kind of like how combo was, and everybody was like, well, not everybody, but how certain people are like, listen, based on the evidence, maybe, just maybe, you know, Morose is ducking this, that, and other. They're basing it off of speculation. Maybe I'm doing the same thing. I'm biased. But the evidence to me says, if all this time we haven't put an effort into changing the system, and we swapped out the judges, and there's been plenty of people judging fights, then why are we having the same issue?
We're having the same issue because different is not indicative of better. It cannot be proven thus far that as many judges have walked in and out of all of those octagons, that the actual standard of judging, of actual combat adjudication, it can't be objectively shown that the standard has gone up, yet the issues with results remain. Because that, by process of elimination, that's how you work out what is wrong with the system overall. Yes, the judges have changed, because it's not like there are guys that are 95 years old still stood at those tables. Of course, there are different judges, but if the actual quality of the judging hasn't changed within those 2.5 decades, then that is its own systemic issue. Until it can be demonstrated that the level of adjudication is better, yet problems remain, then nothing has changed. It doesn't matter about the humans themselves, it's about the quality of their work. Is it better or is it not? Until we know that, you're just guessing at stuff, and you're not accurately troubleshooting what's actually wrong with the system. It's just different, but it's not objectively better or worse.
Yeah. I think whenever you just brought up the fact that, you know, it's been going on for 20 years, it's like, if you can't put in enough change to make it seem like it's going to do any good, like, there's just so many people in like a comfortable state with it now. So I'm not saying it's not good to, you know, try to change something, because it's like you said with the Uber thing, you know, bring something that just seems like it's just going to shock everybody, and present something that we're all going to just say, where you been all my life, right? It has to be that type of statement being made. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. But hey, look, man, we've been on here like about 3 hours, so I'm about to wrap this thing up, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I appreciate both of you coming on. It's definitely a good conversation. I'm gonna just chop this part out and post it up, just so, you know, people can hear it, so they don't have to scrub through. Y'all both brought up some great points tonight, man. But before I go, 2B, so what was your final thoughts or anything, you know, anything else you need to say?
Nah, just Stamina, I appreciate you. Even though, you know what I'm saying, we have things that we don't agree on, I want to hear this from you, commissions, promoters. I want everyone's input. You feel what I'm saying? Because I believe I've addressed everything in that rule set. You know what I'm saying? Because I have thought a lot. I put a lot of thought into it. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of things that you're addressing, these are things that I've asked myself 100 times over the past couple months. You feel what I'm saying? When I was drafting this. So it's like, I appreciate it, and just understand, you know, like, even though when I publish this and this, that, and the other, I know there's going to be changes that need to be made. Not everything's going to be perfect, especially first iteration, but at least we have something that we're working towards that'll be more consistent. So that's all I have. But thanks for letting me come on, Combo, and thanks for your input, Stamina. I sincerely appreciate it.
Brother, I appreciate you. Like, I would like to be kept abreast of any and all developments in what it is that you're pursuing, because the idea that anyone that I could actually have a I guess I'm going to say personal dialogue, even though you're not sat next to me, but having a one-to-one dialogue with about your plans to actually, disrupt the system in the way that, an Uber could, or anything of that ilk. Like, that's interesting to me. Like, and, I will, offer my opinion as long as you solicit it to ultimately for you to win, because if you win, we all win. Like, I want your shit to work, because everything becomes better if someone with a great idea gets to implement it and to execute in it. That we all win. So if my goofy ass ideas from my tiny little flat in London can help with that in some way, then I absolutely will, because it's beneficial to all of us. It's beneficial to the fight game at large, ultimately. So please, like, share it with me as long as you deem me worthy. I would be honored.
Absolutely. Same goes for you, Kamo. Anything you hear, any question, you know what I'm saying? Any suggestion, I'm all ears, man.
Yeah, no problem. We'll talk again behind the scenes for sure, man. Gordon Morris, he said this. I just wanted to read this real quick. He said that one thing that might help is the fighters challenge bad decisions more instead of taking the robbery loss. Uh, I'm not sure, because even like Denise Zamboanga, she challenged that loss to Ham, and they just overturned it just like that. 'Cause he said the catch-aware decision is it being challenged. I'm not sure if it is, but again, I don't know if they would like. They rarely overturn decisions,
Yeah, the precedent for that is almost zero.
They'll entertain it like, oh, you have the choice to, but we already made up
they'll
our
hear
mind.
it, but yeah, they almost never do
Yeah.
anything when challenged. Like, commissions are just like, nah, it's fine,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have to be held accountable for anything that happens.
Right.
So, actually doing anything about it actually casts a wider spotlight on, their actual system inadequacies. So they quite happily just sweep that under the octagon, as it were. Just, no, everything's fine. It's fine. Move on.
All right, y'all guys. But it's been real once again. But
Yep.
definitely, like I said, good conversation. I always enjoy when you guys are coming through. So make sure they don't be strangers. You can come on anytime. When I put that open link out there, I send out the emails quick, because I like to hear everybody's opinion, even if I don't. It ain't about agreeing with everything. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm ready to send them out.
Yeah, man. As
Whatever y'all
long
got
as we
to say.
debate and we don't argue, which most of the time that's what it is, because we're grown and we're
Mhm.
respectful and we like each other. Like,
Yeah.
man, let's
Hey,
do it.
hey, we can type in all caps too. That's fine.
That's not really my wave, but
I know, I'm just it's all
that all
good.
caps life is not how I'm trying to live. Like,
Yeah, man. But yeah, guys, look, we'll do this again. But appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe,
yes, sir.
Absolutely.
and
You
y'all
too,
enjoy
man.
fight
Appreciate
week. We'll keep up on fight week. All right.
Big up.
Awesome.
All right, y'all. I am out of here. Been on here for a minute. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, good conversation tonight. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure y'all subscribe. We'll be doing more topics like this all the time, coming weeks, months, days. So yeah, make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Comment later if you missed the stream. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.